Chapter 3799. One of the three battlefields is Red Rock Mountain. Since the Red Cloud Realm was closed again, this Red Rock Mountain has once again restored its former appearance. Many practitioners from this star field are still wandering around the Red Rock Mountain, eager to get the opportunity from it and get the treasure. Somewhere in Red Rock Mountain, the red blood-like center of the earth suddenly appeared a heavy vortex. This vortex is getting bigger and more complete, just like a space channel. This sudden change immediately attracted the attention of two rulers nearby. What is this? Whirlpool? Is there a treasure to be born? The two rulers, one is the peak of the four realms, and the other is not too strong shortly after entering the five realms. At this moment, the two of them are standing on a bloodstone, looking at the ground below with expectation. Swirl. Red Rock Mountain has unlimited opportunities and there are many treasures. The sudden change now makes them subconsciously believe that there is a treasure born. As a result, as the vortex gradually became complete, no treasure was extended from the inside. Instead, a figure directly rose up. Out. A hearty laughter resounded in this world, this laughter with a hint of joy. The two rulers on the bloodstone immediately widened their eyes. It's a person, is it a person? This look and this terrifying breath is the Lord of the Blood Sword. The Lord of the Blood Sword? Didn't he return to the Star Palace long ago, and has been in retreat all these years? The masters of these two rules face each other, and both can see the horror in each other's eyes. At first in the Red Cloud Realm, a large number of practitioners in this star field tried to break into Tianfeng, and as the first genius recognized in this star field at the main level of the rule, the Blood Sword Master with the top dominating combat power, his achievements naturally attracted the attention of many people. Everyone is speculating whether the Lord of the Blood Sword can pass the test of stepping on the peak of the sky. It was only speculation and speculation, but there was no specific answer. Later, it came out from the Star Palace that the Lord of the Blood Sword passed the test of the foot of the mountain and the mountainside, but lost the test of the peak and then left. After the Red Cloud Realm returned to the Qing Palace, these years have also been closed in the Qing Palace. Most people choose to believe this news from the Star Palace, but there are still a few people who still question it. But whether it is believed or questioned, anyway the Red Cloud world has been closed, and naturally no one has any more thoughts. But now, the two rulers saw with their own eyes Jianghu Shuang emerged from the bottom of the Redstone Mountain. Under the Red Rock Mountain, everyone knows that this is where the Red Cloud Realm is located, but it is impossible to enter at ordinary times. In other words, Jianghu Shuang did not leave the Red Cloud Realm to return to the Star Palace at first. He has stayed in the Red Cloud Realm all these years, and only really came out of the Red Cloud Realm today. The only reason why he can do this is that he passed the test of climbing Tianfeng and went to the legendary second sky. Did he actually pass the test of stepping on Tianfeng? The Red Cloud world has been closed for a long time, but he can stay in it all the time. He has not passed the test of climbing the Tianfeng peak, has certain privileges, and how can he do it? The two rulers secretly groaned, and they were ready to immediately inform the forces in which they were located, and let the news be announced. But before they could send a message, they saw a ghostly figure suddenly passing through the center of the two of them. The sword-unmatched figure that had been in their eyes clearly disappeared. I have no grudges with the two, but am sorry to avoid unnecessary trouble. Jianghu Shuang's voice sounded in the ears of the two rulers, both of whom were staring with wide eyes and showing the color of terror, but their voice had been completely cut off. With a wave of his hand, Jianghu Shuang directly annihilated the bodies of the two ruler masters, and after collecting the treasures they left, he shook his head gently. I didn't expect that I came out of the Red Cloud Realm, but also met people. It's the same to come out of life and death. But I was too careless at the time of life and death, and my strength was not so arrogant at that time, so it would cause many subsequent troubles, but this time there will be no trouble. Jianghu Shuang smiled. With the lesson from the last life and death, this time when he came out of the Red Cloud Realm to see the two rulers, he immediately shot and killed the two rulers to ensure that they did not have time to pass the news. It's time to return to the horoscope. The swordless two-way mysterious Shinto sent a message that he had come out of the Red Cloud Realm, and then swept directly outside the Redstone Mountain. The place where Jianghu Shuang came out of the Red Cloud Realm was not the deepest part of the Red Cloud Realm. It was just the periphery. The current strength of Jianghu Shuang was completely rampant on the periphery of the Red Cloud Realm. He was not hindered along the way. After leaving the Red Cloud Realm, it took some time to return to the Star Palace. Back to the Xingong Palace, the four people who have received the news, the Shenshin Taoist, the Lord of Time and Space, the Lord of Heaven and Earth, and the Heavenly Ancestor are already waiting here. In a separate spacetime, Jian Wushuang sat side by side with the Shen Shinto, the Lord of Time and Space, the Lord of the Heavens and the Heavenly Ancestor. Tianho Xiaoyu, you should not be a small harvest in the Red Cloud World's second day in the world, right? Shen Shinto asked with a smile. It's not small. Jian Wushuang nodded. How about strength? How about the improvement? It's a lot higher than before. Now I can walk horizontally in this star field. Even if it is the top master in general, it can't help me. Jian Wushuang smiled. He is still more modest. In fact, during the 10,000 years of the Red Cloud Realm, he has continuously improved his strength with the many opportunities in the second heaven, especially in Kendo. The improvement is too great. Now, his accomplishments in Kendo and swordsmanship are much stronger than the many masters in this star domain. Coupled with the advantages of Jibao mystery and other aspects, now he can easily defeat the average top master www. Novel. Even reaching the second level, such as this star field, is now recognized as the first GU dominates, although Jian Wushuang now has no absolute certainty to defeat him, but as long as he is given some time to let him refining the first volume of the Dragon Demystification, it should be easy to defeat GU. Of course, the absolute strength possessed by Jian Wushuang can be somewhat concealed in front of the Shen Shinto people. By 4, I returned from the Red Cloud Realm this time, but it brought a surprise to everyone. Jian Wushuang said suddenly. Chapter 3800? Surprise? The 4 masters looked all moved. Surprise is in this Chengkuan ring, let's take a look. Jian Wushuang took Chengkuan ring out. Guess what's the surprise? The mysterious Shinto man looked around with a smile. I want to say that it should be 1 or 2 strongest treasures. Tianzi's eyes lightened. What can be regarded as a surprise by Tianho Xiaoyu is definitely some of us who can use it. Baking is the strongest treasure, or it may be a special opportunity. Is it possible that it is a special treasure comparable to Jintian Bei? The master of space and time guessed. The 4 laughed and guessed, but their consciousness had already sunk into the Chengkuan ring, and soon the contents of the Chengkuan ring were swept again. Suddenly, these 4 god-level powers who were absolutely superior in the early days of the divine realm, at this moment their eyes were staring round, and their mouths opened involuntarily. They were completely trapped there. There is no way it is really the things in the Changchuan ring, it is really shocking. All treasures are all treasures, and looking at the breath, they are all peak treasures? So many peak treasures. There must be tens of thousands of them? No, not only the peak arcana but also the strongest arcana, look carefully. The consciousness of the 4 of them has been carefully investigated. In addition to a large number of peak treasures, there are also some breath from the treasure, which should be far above the peak. The unique breath is impressive. Only the strongest treasure can have. It's the strongest treasure, and it's not just 1 or 2. Do you have dozens of them? How can it be? This. How come there are so many strongest and highest peak treasures? All 4 masters were frightened. Pinnacle treasure is already extremely precious in this star field, and even the master will pay great attention. After all, in this star field, the rule master is generally difficult to have the pinnacle, and most of the masters only use the pinnacle. Many are not the strongest treasures in hand. As for the strongest treasure, let alone, anyone is enough to make the Dominator's eyes narrow and even crazy as the competition in the Red Cloud World. Those masters are so eager to get the strongest treasure in the Red Cloud World. And Jian Wushuang said that it brought them a surprise. The 4 of them also guessed that Jian Wushuang's surprise might be the highest treasure. If there are only a few peak treasures in this ring, or there are 2 or 3 strongest treasures, they will never be so disoriented despite surprises. But the key is that the peaks and treasures they now see from this ring of heaven and earth are piled up like mountains, with tens of thousands of pieces. And the strongest treasure, the same number is quite large, at least dozens of them are there. With so many peaks and even strongest treasures, how can they not be excited and lose their state of mind? Heavenly friend. Jiantianho. The eyes of the 4 masters all looked at Jian Wushuang in unison. All 4 eyes were extremely hot. Heavenly friend, how many peaks and strongest treasures are there in the ring? The Lord of Time and Space asked excitedly. The peak treasure is a total of 100,000. As for the strongest treasure, there are also 100. Jian Wushuang smiled. 100,000 peak treasures, 100 strongest treasures? The 4 dominating heads were all chuckled. They were really scared by this amount, and it took them a long time to return to God. Heavenly friend, what is going on here? What great opportunity did you get in the Red Cloud Realm? Shen Shinto asked. Well, Jian Wushuang shook his head and smiled. I can only say that there is indeed a great opportunity in the Red Cloud Realm, But what exactly is the opportunity? Because of some special relationships I can't say clearly, but I can do these precious things. Let me tell you, these treasures are all treasures owned by Red Cloud World, and they are only a small part of Red Cloud World. Small part? All four masters were stunned. For people also know that every time the Red Cloud Realm is opened, a large number of arcanas are born, and Red Cloud World has been born many times now, but the number of arcanas that are born each time is still countless, mainly because there is a huge treasury, there are a lot of scary treasures, there are hundreds of millions of pieces, even the strongest treasure, there are many. Jian Wushuang said. After he had said this, he immediately heard the sound of the four masters twitching his throat. This sword is also unsurprising. Even myself, when I heard Master Wu talk about the treasures owned by the Red Cloud Realm, I was also shocked. Only later did I know the existence of the law treasure, and then I gradually understood it. These hundreds of millions of treasures are naturally incredible to our star field, but the Red Cloud World has a huge history. These treasures are nothing to the Red Cloud World. I passed the test of Tiantian Peak, so I managed the Red Cloud. The adult in the world allowed me to go to the treasure house to select the treasure, and gave me the authority to be able to select 100 pieces of the strongest treasure. As for the peak treasure, he didn't have too many constraints. If I wanted to, I would take the number. The 100,000 peak treasures are not a problem. It's just that I don't think it would be a good thing if the number of peak treasures is too much, so I know that I have selected 100,000. It is your 100 strongest treasures. I have carefully selected them. Jian Wushuang smiled with that said. The four dominating faces in front of them had already become red, and all four were faintly panting. Obviously, the surprise that Jian Wushuang gave them this time was really too big. However, the four masters also experienced many storms, and it didn't take long for them to calm down. Heavenly friend, you really gave us a big surprise this time. Xian Shinto praised. Indeed, the Lord of Time and Space also nodded. 100,000 pieces of peak treasure, 100 strongest treasure, and whether it is the peak treasure or the strongest treasure, there are all types of it. The number is so much. If these treasures are taken out, they can definitely set off huge waves in the star field, and countless masters are expected to go crazy for this. I knew you could get so many strongest treasures after you stepped on the Tianfeng Peak. Before, a few of us didn't have to fight for the strongest treasure of the strongest treasure. The Confederate master sneered. Haha. Jian Wushuang also smiled. By the way, Tianho Xiaoyu, how do you plan to distribute these precious treasures? Shen Shindao looked over. If it's assigned, I've thought about it on the way back. Jian Wushuang straightened up. Chapter 38:01. These treasures were brought by me from the Red Cloud Realm. Now, apart from us, no one knows. I will naturally not be stupid enough to make it public, even though those top treasures are my future gods. Prepared for the battle with Devil Star, then I will definitely give these treasures to the masters of the many rules participating in the battle to enhance their strength, but after all, the war has not yet begun, and naturally there is no need to distribute it. So, in addition to the four of you, each of you selected some of the strongest precious treasures suitable for your own use. The other precious treasures are now kept in the Xinggong and kept by Xianxin. After the war begins, take it out again. Sword Wushuangdo. Well, the war has not yet begun. We have the existence of this group of treasures, and we really do not need to expose it so that we can have some more cards in the future when we fight against Devil Star. Even I propose that even our few now, for the time being, there is no need to choose too many strongest treasures. It is enough to choose at most one or two strongest treasures to save your life. I agree. I agree. The ancestors and the ancestors nodded in succession. My dear friend, do you want me to keep these treasures? Mysterious Shinto man frowned. Although I am the lord of the horoscope and stay in the horoscope all year round, although I will not encounter any danger, I always think that this batch of treasures is yours. It's good to be by your side. After all, your strength is there. In this star field, no one cares about you. Naturally, no one can the treasure from you. Yes, Jian Tianho, this batch of precious treasures, you still have a better way to keep it yourself. The main reason why I want Shen Shen to keep these treasures is another thing. Jian Wushuang said. Oh, what's the matter? All four masters came over. It's true. I got a good chance in the second day of the Red Cloud World. Although my strength has improved a lot, now my strength has reached a bottleneck. I want to make a significant increase and rely on blindness. Enlightenment will definitely not work. I must go through life and death experience, so I have decided to go to the depths of the three battlefields. The depths of the three battlefields are full of crises and I can't ensure safety, so it is more appropriate for these treasures to remain in the Star Palace. Jian Wushuangdo. Is that so? All four masters nodded. They are all masters and they are also top performers in this star field. They also understand that a practitioner is stuck in the bottleneck, but it is very difficult to break through. The power of life and death is undoubtedly the easiest way to break through the bottleneck. At this time, Jian Wushuang chose to go to some dangerous places and they could understand. Since this is the case, I will keep these batches of precious treasures first. Xian Shinto nodded and then asked again, yes, Xiaoyu, there are many dangerous places in the depths of the 3 major battlefields. I do know where are you going? I've thought about it before and go to the dark domain. Jian Wushuang said. What? The 4 masters were all taken aback. Jianghu, are you going to the dark and demon realm? The exalted lord of the sky exclaimed. His expression became extremely dignified. Heavenly friend, don't be reckless. The mysterious Shinto man even said, dark demon realm, that's one of the most dangerous Jedi in the depths of Demon Smoke Valley. Regarding the degree of danger, even compared with life and death, it can't be worse. How much, even the top masters are extremely jealous of the dim demon realm, and dare to break out. Although you are as good as the top masters, it is still too dangerous to go there. Yes. The Lord of Time and Space also Jian head, although the darkened realm is a known area, there is actually any danger in it. Only a few people in this starfield know. At least my star palace is against the darkened realm. Without knowing it, but we know very well that without the power of the top dominator, entering the darkened realm will undoubtedly die. Even if it is a top master, once it enters the dim demon realm, the possibility of falling is also very great. From a few epochs to the present, there are a total of 18 top masters who have entered the dim demon realm. Only 3 of them came out alive, and the other 15 died in the darkened demon realm. This concept of life is less than 20%, it is too low. Jian Wushuang said that he would go to the darkened demon realm, and the 4 masters objected. Of course, it is normal for them to object. For the many practitioners in this starfield, the dim demon domain is located in the depths of the magic smoke valley. In a few epochs, a total of 18 top masters entered the darkened realm, but only 3 of them came out alive. This terrible death probability is enough to be daunting. And even if the 3 top masters who fortunately walked out of the dim demon realm, after they came out, they were reluctant to mention anything in the dim demon realm, and strictly prohibited their strongmen from entering the dim demon realm. Obviously they were in the dim demon realm. Was frightened. In such a terrible place, even the top masters are terrified. Of course, they are worried that if Jian Wushuang enters the darkened realm, he will encounter unexpected events. For people, I have decided. Jian Wushuang looked around the 4 masters with a smile. Maybe the dim demon realm is really dangerous. Even if the top masters have less than 20% chance of living, it is a 9-death life, but what I need now is exactly this. Waiting for danger. After all, my life-saving ability has long surpassed most of the top masters. In addition, many of the methods I have are far from extraordinary. The top master can compare. If it is elsewhere, it will be difficult for me to get life and death. From time to time. Even so, you can't just choose this dim demonic field directly. You can choose which kind of threat is a little lower, such as the Corpse Forest, the Emperor Island. These places can have great experience for the top masters. Xian Shinto humane. Jian Wushuang just smiled and said nothing. The Corpse Forest and Emperor's Island are indeed dangerous places, and the top masters enter it, and only have a survival rate of about 50% to 60%. However, after the long-term cultivation of the second heaven of the Red Cloud Realm, Jian Wushuang's current strength has already surpassed the top masters. As far as life-saving ability is concerned, those top masters are far less than him, let alone various precious treasures and means it. It is because of his strength now and his life-saving ability that is against the sky that he is so confident. Places like Skull Forest and Emperor's Evil Island were not too challenging for him. He wanted to experience life and death, and only had to go to a dangerous place like the darkened demon realm. Chapter 3802. The 4 mysterious gods still wanted to persuade, but Jian Wushuang obviously didn't listen to it and the 4 were helpless. Well, since you have already made a decision, then we will not stop you, but you must be careful when you are in the dim demon realm, you must come back alive. Xian Shindao solemnly said. Of course, I don't plan to lose my life there. Jian Wushuang smiled. Tianho Xiaoyu, when are you going to leave? He'll go back to the early world of the gods first and he'll start in about 10 years. Jian Wushuangdo. 10 years. The Lord of Time and Space looked. Okay, in the past 10 years we will try to collect as much information for you as possible about the darkened realm. After all, 3 top masters came out alive before. Well, they definitely know some of the crises in the dim demonic domain, Although the three top masters have already left this astronomical zone long ago, maybe they have any information left. Well, it would be best if I could get some information about the Dark and Demon realm. Jian Wushuang nodded. Since this is the case, it'll go back to the beginning of the world. After that, Jian Wushuang turned and left. After Jian Wushuang left, the faces of the four masters, Shen Shinto, the Lord of Time and Space, the Lord of Heaven and the Celestial Master, and the Heavenly Ancestor were not very good looking. I still don't want him to go into the Dark and Demon realm, after all, it's too dangerous there. Shen Shinto humane. I don't agree, but he insisted. What can we do? Heaven Xiaoyu, he is fighting. The Lord of Time and Space suddenly said. Fight. The Shen Shin Taoist, the Ancestor, and the Ancestor all looked over. I was in a very dire situation at the beginning of the Divine Realm. The Lord of the Demon Cloud and his powerful men would not be able to kill them for a long time. However, due to the current strength of the Divine Realm in the beginning, I am afraid it will be difficult to stay with them fighting, so the best way to change the situation and make my Divine Realm turn back to peace is to break through and become the Master, and then take away the Divine Realm directly. As long as he takes away the prenatal Divine Realm, then we are truly sit back and relax. But obviously, there is still a certain gap between Tianhou Xiaoyu and the level of dominance. Even now he has encountered a bottleneck. This bottleneck, under normal circumstances he does not need to worry at all and he will slowly find a way to break it, but it was because I was too nervous at the beginning that he had to fight. He had to take a risk for the sake of my early days. The voice of the Lord of Time and Space was low. After hearing the words of the Lord of Time and Space, the other three masters were also stunned. They all understood immediately. Indeed, if it is not necessary, who would be willing to venture into the darkened realm where the top masters are all dead? Not to mention that Jian Wushuang encountered a bottleneck. Even if it is a bottleneck, you can slowly find opportunities to break through in the future as long as there is sufficient time. How long has Jian Wushuang practiced, and his time is still so much? But why is he so anxious to venture into the darkened demon realm? Because the situation of the divine realm was very critical in the early days, and the many powerful men of Demon Star will kill them in a short time. He couldn't wait and had no choice. I can only take risks, I can only desperately for the beginning of the world. After understanding this, the four masters present couldn't help raising a little admiration. Jian Wushuang in fact can only be regarded as a junior. After all, Jian Wushuang's master Shen Yi is a friend of the same age as them, but such a junior at the moment they all admire them. This admiration is not only in strength, but also in conduct and responsibility. The responsibilities of Jian Wushuang, the burden on his shoulders is indeed too heavy, and the life and death of the whole world in the beginning of the year were all on him. Under such pressure, Jian Wushuang did not shrink back at all, but did his best to find life for the early gods. So many treasures from the Red Cloud realm were prepared for the practitioners in the early divine realm. He is now going to the darkened demon realm, also in order to give greater opportunities to the early gods. I wonder if the impression of Jian Wushuang in the hearts of their four masters has become extremely tall. Perhaps Jian Wushuang is still very young now, but he is definitely a great tree in the early world of God. To early world. After Jian Wushuang returned, he first met his parents and his relatives to learn about the situation of the practitioners from the ancient chaos world and the early world of the gods, and then he went directly into his secret world, which is the ancient chaos world. Under that huge ancient battlefield, a towering stone monument still stood there silently. Flame, you were the master of chaos at the ultimate level before, and you have traveled to the depths of the universe. You have good knowledge. You can see what kind of precious stone is this stone in front of me? Jian Wushuang asked. Although the spirit body of the magic flame stays inside the blood-colored gourd, he can still see the external affairs. This is Zhenshinbai? Demon Flame's voice was clearly shocked. Do you know? Jian Wushuang's eyes brightened. Of course I know, this is the town monument. Even in the vast universe, it has great fame. Moyan said. There is great fame in the vast universe? Jian Wushuang's eyes lighted up and his heart became excited. Is this town's Tianbei the strongest or the most precious rule? This is what Jian Wushuang cares about. Although he guessed that the Jintian monument should be the rule of treasure, he couldn't be sure. Well? Moyan groaned for a moment, then said, Zhenshinbai is indeed a rule of treasure, but it is a special rule of treasure. It's special? Jian Wushuang looked. What a special law. Master, since you have a town monument, you should know that there is not only one town monument, right? Moyan asked. I know that. Jian Wushuang nodded. I heard the mysterious said that there are 9 town monuments. Before that, in the quicksand demon domain, 3 town monuments were born at the same time. The one in front of me is one of the 3 town monuments previously born in Quicksand Demon Realm. Jiuzun. Mo Yen smiled. The information that the owner received is not comprehensive. In fact, this town's Tianbei is not just Jiuzun but a lot. A lot? What do you mean? Jian Wushuang frowned. Things are rare and precious. The Jiuzun town monument has originally made the town monument less valuable, but now Magic Flame tells him that there are many town monuments. Chapter 3803. It has something to do with the origin of Jintian Bei. The Magic Flame began to narrate. First of all, this town monument is indeed a rule of treasure, and it is also a rule of repression. But if you talk about power, it is weaker than the normal law of repression, but in the vast universe, the value of a town monument is definitely not lower than the rule of general repression or even a lot higher. The reason for this is because Jintian Bei involves a powerful legal array. French array. Jian Wushuang frowned. Yes, it was a magic circle created by a supreme strongman who reached the top level. The supreme strongman is not only outrageous in his own strength. The most important thing is that he is also very accomplished in the game of confrontation. In the vast universe, among the practitioners of countless arrays, he can definitely rank in the top 10. The legal array created by such a superpower is naturally outrageous, but although this legal array is strong, it requires a specific rule of treasure to be able to be used as a base, and since it is a specific rule of treasure, it is naturally unusual. The rule of treasure is different, so this Supreme has spent a lot of waiting time, and has refined an extremely special rule of treasure, which is this town monument. Jintian Bei is the only rule that can give full play to the power of the magic circle. At that time, the Supreme refining a total of 108 town monuments, using this 108 town monuments as Jinji, using that method, can exert the strongest power of that method, and the Supreme has also used this method to become the overlord of the universe, and he is invincible in the Supreme. Hearing this, Jian Wushuang couldn't help but be shocked. Cosmic Overlord, invincible level in the Supreme? Lingyun Supreme is also a cosmic hegemon, and is also known as invincible among the Supreme? Like the master of the Red Cloud world, the ancestor of the Red Cloud, although the top and Supreme, is far worse than the Supreme Invincible Universe Overlord. Of course, the universe is vast. Even if it is an invincible level of Universe Overlord, there is also the possibility of falling. The Supreme who created the magic circle eventually fell, but although he died, his lost circle and those towns Tianbei is here to stay, and the descendants are good at the legal array. They also exposed the legal array he created, and then transformed the 4 levels of this legal array. On the first level, only 3 town monuments can be used. The second level requires 9 town monuments. The third level requires a full 36 town monuments. As for the final 4th level, the 108 town monuments need to be assembled, which is the strongest power of the French front. And the 108 town monuments have long been scattered throughout the universe, and later some strong men have obtained the legal array, so it cost a lot of money. Please use the town monument as a prototype to refine it. More town monuments, so I will say that there are many town monuments, but the exact number is unknown. Is that so? Sword unparalleled. It turns out that this town's Tianbei is the base of a powerful law formation. No wonder it is so many and extremely precious. Master, you got the message that there are 9 town monuments in the first place. Maybe it is the town monuments you got. It was a strong man who gathered 9 town monuments. The strong man himself. I made up the Jiuzun town monument, so the message you got is like this, said Mo Yen again. Jian Wushuang nodded slightly. According to the demon flame, the law circle created by the Supreme has been passed down in the universe. It is estimated that many people in the universe have obtained the law circle, even if it is not the complete 4-layer law circle, but it is still possible to get the first and second layers. And those powerful people in the universe, after getting the magic circle, will naturally try their best to collect the town monuments. Some people collect 3 statues and some people collect 9 statues. It is normal to exert different powers of the magic circle. Magic Flame, although this town Tianbei is mainly used for that law formation, but the town Tianbei itself is a rule of treasure. Even if there is only one, there should be no weak power? Jian Wushuang asked. Of course. Moyen nodded. Single respect for the town monument. The power is not as good as the general repression treasure, but it is also a rule of treasure, and it is still repressive, and the power is naturally good. According to my knowledge, if a single town monument is used as an attack, pure material attacks can barely approach the law of the general attack type arcana. As for the suppression effect, of course, it is far more powerful than the ordinary universe arcana. Upon hearing this, Jian Wushuang's eyes brightened. He was also worried that if he only got a town monument, even if he could trend, he would not be able to enhance his combat power too much. It seemed that he still thought too much. Like his master, at first it was only the primary master's combat power, but after he mastered the Zhen Tianbei, his combat power increased to match the top masters. This town's Tianbei significantly enhanced his combat power. I have made great progress in the Red Cloud realm, and I have a much better sense of the laws of the universe than before. I do indeed know who I am now, but I'm far from fully understanding the first secret pattern of Jintian Monument. Sword Wushuang muttered. The Jintian Monument is full of triple secret lines. As long as the first secret line is fully understood, it should be able to barely drive it. Jian Wushuang had enlightened under this town monument for 5,000 years before, but he barely realized the first secret pattern by 20 to 30%. Now returning from the Red Cloud realm, there should be more mysterious lines that can be understood by reason. Sure enough, with Jian Wushuang's realization, he found that many of the first secret lines were already very familiar to him. After a long time, Jian Wushuang reopened his eyes. 50%, more than 10,000 years of enlightenment in the Red Cloud realm. Let me understand 50% of the first secret pattern of this town's monument, but why do I feel the remaining 50% far much harder than before? Jian Wushuang frowned. Master, if you want to master this town monument now, I'm afraid it will be difficult. The flame of magic flame sounded again. What? Jian Wushuang asked. Master, if it's a general rule of treasure, you can drive it right now. Although it's difficult to fully utilize the power of the rule of treasure, but at least it can be used. But the town monument is different. This town monument, the hidden mystery, is extremely special. I once got a town monument in my peak period, but I sold it, but I know very well that the threshold of this town monument is very high. It is just a simple use. Only the laws of the universe, said the flame. End of this chapter. Chapter 3804. Simple and practical. You need to understand a trace of the law of the universe? Jian Wushuang frowned. He couldn't help but feel that the threshold for using the town sky monument was really too high. Previously, he thought that he only needed to understand the first secret pattern in the town monument, and this first secret pattern was extremely difficult, but with his own understanding he only needed sufficient time or I can understand it, but it seems that it is not so simple. Wrong. The sword has no double-sided color suddenly changed. At the beginning, the master had mastered the Jintian tablet, and his strength soared. From the primary master he jumped to the level that rivals the top master. Did the master realize the glory of the universe? There was a hint of horror in Jian Wu's eyes. Yes, Master Qinzhuang wizard, even special mysterious magical powers such as the heaven-cuting spell can be created, and it has taken me a long time to pay for it, and the ancient chaotic world has evolved into the heavenly cycle. Is a great means of shaking the world. On strength, perhaps now I have surpassed the master of the peak period, but if we talk about talents, master is afraid to be far stronger than me. In this star domain, we must say that others understand at the level of rule master. With a trace of the law of the universe I am unbelievable, but if it is a master, it is entirely possible. Jian Wushuang clenched his hands. Master Xuanyi has always admired Jian Wushuang's incomparable respect. This kind of admiration is not only Xian Yi's personality and charm, but also Xian Yi's many masterpieces. Like the perfect level of life, it is possible for 1 billion stars to be born in the vast universe, and they are all bred by the universe itself. But according to his own level of life, it took a long time to directly create a second perfect level of life. There is also the evolution of the ancient chaotic world, which directly transforms the heavens and the heavens so that the refining of Jian Wushuang will directly lead to the coming of the law of the universe. There is also the technique of beating the sky, which can cooperate with its own level of life and stimulate the innate advantages of the level of life as much as possible, but even this method is extremely shocking. All these methods are shocking, but all come from the hands of his master Xian. It is no surprise that he now understands that a master of the universe has realized a trace of the law of the universe at the master level of the rule and is able to control the Jintian monument. I see. The reason why the master has increased greatly from the elementary dominance level to the level that rivals the top one. Perhaps Zenshinbai really helped him a lot, but I'm afraid the most important thing is that he realized it. A trace of the law of the universe. Any ruler, as long as he comprehends a trace of the law of the universe, his strength will explode. Although he is only the master of the rules, he can definitely gain a tremendous increase in strength after comprehending a trace of the law of the universe. After understanding this, Jian Wushuang looked at the Jintian monument in front of him, but shook his head and smiled bitterly. Master has left this town monument to me. It should be that I hope to comprehend the secret lines in the town monument. I will gradually grasp and finally realize a trace of the cosmic law. If I did that, I might really understand it. A trace of the law of the universe can take too long, Jian Wushuang sighed softly. He now only realized 50% of Jin Qianbei's first secret pattern, only half. The remaining 50% of the secret lines, however, makes Jian Wushuang feel very difficult. It is much more difficult to realize than the previous 50%. He estimates that if he has been staying in this town to understand the secret lines, at least it will take 40,000 to 50,000 years to hopefully fully realize this first secret pattern. 40 to 50,000 years? It's been too long for Jian Wushuang. He can't wait to. So he can only seek other ways and can only go on constant adventure. Like the darkened demon realm, even if it was full of crisis and danger, he must go. It seems that the secret lines in this town's sky monument have to wait until I come out of the dim demon realm, and then go to enlighten. Jian Wushuang sighed lightly and he did not leave, but sat in the open space beside him. Then, in my mind, a lot of information began to emerge. This information is the information of dragon extermination. This time to go to the Red Cloud realm, the sword unparalleled harvest is extremely huge. Not only has he harvested a lot of treasures, but also many opportunities in the Red Cloud realm have greatly enhanced his strength, and at the same time he has obtained an extremely powerful mystery. This mystery technique is Dragon Mystery. However, although he has obtained this mystery in the Red Cloud realm, he has been busy understanding and improving his strength under the opportunity, and has never spent time to truly cultivate this mystery. By now he has decided to go into the Darkened Realm. Before he actually enters the Darkened Realm, he must have refined the first volume of Dragon Demystification so that he can also have an extra whole card, and he is in the Darkened after the magic domain, the ability to save lives will be stronger. Dragon's mystery is a magical burning mystery. This mystery really has a great effect on me. Sword Wushuang sat there, and began to cultivate according to the information in the first volume of Dragon Extinction. Said to be cultivation, but in fact, the most important thing about this mystery is how to control the divine power more accurately. After all, when the divine power starts to burn, it will burn all the divine power. If you want to stop it, you must have extremely precise control of the divine power. In simple terms, it is the use and control of divine power. In this star field, in fact, there are some simple methods of using and controlling divine power, and some methods can even allow practitioners to control divine power for burning. However, the level of the magical power of the star field in this field is too low. Once you use the magical power to burn, it is almost difficult to stop. Only when the spiritual power of the practitioner is completely exhausted, he will stop by himself under. But the divine power has been completely burned and exhausted. If there is no divine power in the divine body, it will naturally lose its vitality. This practitioner will certainly die. And even if it is really desperate at the level of practitioners in this star field, it is crazy to burn the divine power. At most, it can only increase its power by a few times. Compared to mysticism, it is totally heaven and earth. This dragon-destroying mystery www. Novel. Control of divine power is so fine? Jian Wushuang's heart became more and more pleasantly surprised as he practiced dragon mystery. This perfect control of divine power is also a great benefit to him. Time passed and 12 years passed. For the past 12 years, Jian Wushuang has been staying here to learn the practice of dragon extermination. After spending 12 years, he finally made the first volume of Dragon Extermination. Chapter 3804 Divine Power Control, page 1/1, bookmark for easy reading. Chapter 3805. In the open space next to the town monument, Jian Wushuang sat there calmly. He didn't exude a slight breath, and there was no trace of divine power flowing on the surface. It looked as if his whole divine power was exhausted or exhausted. In general, but in fact, this is just Jian Wushuang's perfect control of divine power, not to let the divine power escape the slightest. In the past 12 years, he has been much stronger than before when he has practiced dragon demystification simply in the control of divine power. I don't know how much I can improve my strength with my current strength and the first volume of Dragon Extermination. Jian Wu's eyes were dazzling with light. Try it. Without hesitation, Jian Wushuang immediately urged Dragon Mystery. Instantly, Jian Wushuang only felt a fiery heat in his body, and the divine power that followed him was like Ganshai encountered a fierce fire, even when it burned wildly. Divine power burned, making Jian Wushuang's expression a bit painful. The burning of this divine power is really painful. Fortunately, my consciousness is arrogant enough so that the impact will not be too great, but the speed at which my divine power is consumed is indeed a bit scary. Jian Wushuang can feel the rapid consumption of divine power in himself. Normally, the magic of mysterious power burns. Even the masters of the 4th and 5th series will talk about the color change. Such a mystery is an absolute hole card for many strong players in the universe. It will never be cast unless it is a life or death crisis. The sword unparalleled is also because of the perfect life. The divine power in the body is as vast as the sea, which is thousands of times that of the ruler of ordinary rules. This speed of divine power can barely bear. But after the burning of my divine power, my power has actually increased enough. Jian Wushuang clenched his hands and felt the terrifying power in his hands. The mad burning of divine power has greatly compressed his divine power, making his divine power explode, which is absolutely 100 times stronger than before. Jian Wushuang's own divine power is comparable to the elementary master. This sudden increase of 100-fold power makes him simply based on basic divine power, comparable to or even more than the top masters. And Sword Wushuang has several kinds of mystic skills. These mystic skills will have a tremendous increase in strength. Such as magical power of life, cut heaven, these are very great to enhance the power of divine power. The most important thing is that Jian Wushuang has the will power given by the law of the universe, but that will power can be doubled on the basis of Jian Wushuang's original power. Taken together, the power of Jian Wushuang's instantaneous outburst has completely surpassed the level of the first-level master. My basic divine power now is much stronger than the average top master. If my several mysteries are performed at the same time, and the power given by the law of the universe is superimposed, it is estimated that with the strongest explosive power I have now, I should be able to reach the second-level and higher-level master. Jian Wushuang muttered. He is the master of the second-level and higher level. He has never met or played against him. However, he judged according to the gap between the first-level masters. If he fully exerts the mystery of dragon extermination, his power can indeed reach such a level. The power of the second level of the higher level dominates, and my understanding of Kendo has long exceeded that of the second level. It is comparable to that of the third level. In addition to the many treasures I have, Xian Guang Tianyi Triple Magic Light Mirror, Shen Hesh, Huangquan Excalibur, Wujin Demon Armor. My current combat power has already reached the peak of this star field. I'm afraid that few of the top powerhouses in the history of this star field can match me. Jian Wushuang's words are by no means self-proclaimed, but indeed. After all, this star field is a remote place in the universe. There are not many dominators here. The dominator at the top level of the first series is almost already the strongest, and a dominator of the second series rarely appears. Like Yu Yu, who has gone through the foothills of the Tianfeng mountain before, it is relatively rare. And in this star field, after those dominators reach the second level, they will hardly stay here for a long time, but will soon choose to leave to travel to other universes in the universe. After all, the second level dominates in this star field. It is absolutely invincible. The so-called master loneliness, if you have spent enough time in this star field, you will choose to leave. That Yu Yu dominates, I'm afraid it won't be long before leaving this star field. Therefore, Jian Wushuang's current combat power is regarded as the top among many powerful people in the history of this star field, which is by no means empty words. In fact, with his current fighting power, he can also prepare to go to other stars in the universe, just because he has too many responsibilities, and the crisis in the early world of God is too great for him to leave. Strength has reached this level, it is really difficult to improve in a short period of time, and it is time to go to the darkened realm. Of course, stay with your father and mother for a while before leaving. Jian Wushuang sighed softly. Even if he started, the dark domain is too dangerous. Although Jian Wushuang is extremely confident in his current strength and life-saving means, he also has no absolute confidence that he can come out alive from the inside, so he must naturally accompany his two lives before leaving. Parents and relatives and friends, but because of time constraints he did not stay too long. Just 3 years later he set off. When he left, he did not bring up the fierce danger with his parents, and he did not want his parents and many of his relatives and friends to worry about himself. Star Palace. Heavenly friend, this is the information I have collected for you in the dark and demon domain for more than 10 years. The information here is true but also false. We see and say it clearly, you still have to tell it yourself. Well, in short, the dim demon realm is no better than other places, where there are crises everywhere, and you must be careful when you are alone. Xian Shinto said. I know. Jian Wushuang nodded his head, took the information in the hands of Xian Shinto, gave a brief glance and slightly nodded. There is something valuable in this information, but there are still many things that can't be determined true and false, and he can only slowly go out on his own, while distinguishing between them. All of you, then I'll go first, and bother you to take care of my loved ones in the early world of God. Jianghu Shuangdo. Well, come back earlier. The four gods, the Lord of time and space, the Lord of the heaven and earth, and the heavenly ancestor watch the sword Wushuang far away. They know that Jian Wushuang's trip is to go for the vitality of the Taichu world. End of this chapter. Chapter 3806. One of the three battlefields, Magic Smoke Valley. At the deepest level, the sky and the earth are full of hazy black mists. These black mists are highly toxic. If the ruler of the ordinary stays a little longer in this black mist-filled void, it is likely that his divine power will be completely eroded and evaporated off. This is already the forbidden area of the ruler. Those who dare to come here are generally strong men who can resist the erosion of the black mist. For example, a black bald old man who is roaming in the black mist. This bald old man in black is dominated by Wuyin. In this star field he can also be regarded as a relatively famous master. Of course he is just an elementary master, and his strength can only be considered average. The black mist in the deepest part of the Magic Smoke Valley is really horrible. Although I am the master, I can only barely resist the erosion of this mist, and I cannot stay in this black mist for too long, otherwise under the erosion of the mist at all times, I may be unable to resist it. But fortunately, although I have only spent less than 100 years in this black mist, it still gives me a peak treasure, which is not a worthwhile trip. Wuyin Master smiled. Peak Universe Arcana, even just the most common attack arcana, is still enough to make him the primary master. In the past 100 years, it has been very good to be able to obtain such a treasure. You have to know that even in the thousands of years before the Red Cloud Realm was opened, all kinds of arcanas were born. Although he was also fighting inside, he only got one peak arcana and a few top arcanas. In the Red Cloud world, although he was born, there are many treasures, but various competitions are also very fierce. Although he is the master, there are a lot of stronger masters in the Red Cloud realm, but the area covered by the black mist is different because there are few masters in this area. In the past century he was the master. No one has ever met and no one can compete with him. Before he noticed the birth of arcana in the black mist, he immediately rushed over and easily got the peak arcana. Of course, although there are not many people fighting with him in this black mist, the hidden crisis is very huge. If he is inadvertent, he may fall, so he has been careful in the past 100 years. Like now, he finds that he has become more and more strenuous when resisting the black mist, so he already has the intention to leave the black mist area first, wait for some time to recuperate and then re-enter. The range covered by this black mist is not too big, and the various routes in this range I have kept in mind before. This road to go out only needs to be careful, there should be no danger. Wu Yin the master murmured, and he had slowly moved away from the black mist. He was not fast along the way and did not encounter any danger. However, just as he passed by a dark red forest, his heart tightened instantly. It is a darkened demon realm. Legend has it that even the top dominated the dark dodged realm that was dead for a lifetime, and the top dominated the following, and it is undoubtedly necessary to enter it. This dim demon realm is one of the most dangerous Jedi in Devil's Smoke Valley. If you accidentally break into it with my strength, I don't know how to die. I have to be careful, but don't be careful, break in. Knowing that the dark red dense forest is where the dim dark realm is, the Wuyin master who has a certain understanding of the dark realm, is more cautious when he plunders, and dare not approach the dark red dense forest at all. Suddenly, Wuyin's look suddenly changed. Someone. He had noticed a figure in the void not far ahead. The figure was covered by the gray mist. Although he could not see the appearance, there was no doubt that he dared to come to the deepest part of the Magic Smoke Valley, and wander into the black mist-diffused range, and it must be the true strongman. However, as the figure approached, the moment his soul's power could detect the other's breath, he froze. This breath is just the master of the rules? Wuyin's master was extremely surprised, but as the appearance of the other party gradually appeared in his sight, the Wuyin master was relieved. The Lord of the Blood Sword, it turned out to be him. Wuyin Lord nodded secretly. In this star field, among the many rulers, there are only a few rulers who dare to come and roam in this black mist range, and Jian Wushuang is undoubtedly one of them. It is said that when the Lord of the Blood Sword was in the Red Cloud realm, he fought with the Evil Lord. Even the Evil Lord confessed that he had the top dominating power. Although he was only the ruler but on strength much better than me. Wuyin dominated secretly booing. Although he knows that Jian Wushuang is very powerful, he is not afraid. After all, there is no resentment between him and Jian Wushuang, and there is no holiday with Shingo. With Jian Wushuang's current strength and status, it should not be shot against him for no reason. Sure enough, the sword unparalleled arrived, and after seeing Wu Yin dominated, he just smiled. Wu Yin dominated, are you here? Yes, I heard the name of the Lord of the Blood Sword. I had never seen it before. I didn't expect to see it in the black mist now. The master of Wu Yin smiled, but with a touch of compliment. The Lord of the Blood Sword, did you come to this black mist to find opportunities? Wu Yin Lord asked casually. That's right. Jian Wushuang nodded slightly. Then you have to be careful. This black mist is full of unknown dangers. The black mist that surrounds it all the time is just one of them. There are many crises lurking. In addition, this black mist, there is also a special place among them, the dim demon realm where the dark red forest is located, but the dim demon realm is an amazing place, and you should not approach the Lord of the Blood Sword easily. Jian Wushuang frowned. Wu Yin is master, thank you. After saying that Jian Wushuang has already swept away towards that dark red forest, you're welcome. The Lord Wu Yin smiled and wanted to continue talking to Jian Wushuang, but he had already seen Jian Wushuang leaving, and the direction in which Jian Wushuang moved forward was the dark red forest. The Lord of the Blood Sword, there is the dark demon realm. Wu Yin Lord shouted. I know. Jian Wushuang stepped. But I'm going there. Having said that, the sword has no double heads and does not return, so it plunges directly into the dark red forest. Chapter 3807. Did he break into the darkened realm? The master of Wu Yin stared with wide eyes and a look of astonishment. He had just reminded Jian Wushuang to ask him to stay away from the dark red forest. But blinking, Jian Wushuang broke into it directly. He should have known where the darkened realm was, and he should also know the danger contained in the darkened realm, but he still broke in. The Lord of the Blood Sword, so brave. Lord Wu Yin shook his head and sighed. The dim demon domain is absolutely taboo for ordinary masters, and no one dares to break into it. Like the master of Wu Yin, he just passed by around the dim dark realm, and was extremely cautious, for fear he would walk in accidentally. The sword unparalleled, knowing the treacherous dark domain, but dare to break in directly, this courage is extraordinary. No, the Lord of the Blood Swords has entered the darkened demon realm. I want to let my friends know immediately about this news. The Lord of Wu Yin immediately took out a number of orders to send a message. Although this Wu Yin dominates as a lone strong man, there is no power behind him, but he still has some friends who dominate the hierarchy. He informed his friends of the news that Jian Wushuang broke into the darkened demon realm, and his friends continued to spread. Just like this, 10, 100, and not long after, many of the top powerhouses in this star field almost knew this. The Lord of the Blood Swords even went to the dark demon realm? It's really bold. Beihai Palace, the Tianping who reached the top level, was amazed at the news. Even in the dim demon realm, he was so scared that he dare not break into it. But sword unparalleled but broke in. When he came to me under the guidance of mysterious God, he was extremely immature. At that time, it was only by some design methods that he deceived the Huangquan Excalibur from my hands, but he did not expect it to pass. For more than 20,000 years, he has been able to match the top masters, and he dared to break into the darkened demon realm that I dare not even break into. Tianping cannot help but sigh. After the Yangtze River pushed forward. Although Jian Wushuang is extremely young in his eyes, even just a junior, but judging from the strength he has shown, he has even paid attention to it. Now Jian Wushuang went into the darkened demon realm. Such actions made him extremely shocked. The darkened demon realm is extremely dangerous. Even the top master enters it. It is a 9-death life. It would be good if the Blood Sword Master died inside, but if he finally came out of the dark demon realm, it would be really terrible. I'm afraid I can't afford him at Beihai Palace. The dim blood-colored magic palace, Yunyu dominated the seat on the throne at the top, holding a glass of blood-colored wine in his hand, gently swaying. Dark demon realm. Hundreds of thousands of years ago, when my strength was at the bottleneck and could hardly be improved, I also considered whether to go to the darkened demon realm. I hesitated for thousands of years without really making up my mind. It wasn't until I was lucky enough to get that chance that my strength broke through. That's when I gave up the idea of going to the darkened realm. Even the old guy who has lived for hundreds of millions of years and has not known how many winds and rains, he must consider hesitating for so long before entering the darkened demon realm, and still cannot make a decision, but the Lord of the Blood Sword is just a rule lord, as short as the years of cultivation, so young, so decisive to go to the darkened realm? Jiyu dominated secretly admired. In the bottom of his heart he also compares himself with Jian Wushuang, and even changes his position to think that if he is Jian Wushuang, He is so young and he is only the master of the rules, but has the fighting power of the top masters, with such terrible talents and potential, then he will never take such a risk to venture into the darkened realm. Amazing little guy, I can't keep up with him because of the boldness and courage. I hope he can come out alive from the darkened realm, and preferably within this 1,000 years. Jiyu dominated with a slight smile. The millennium is the millennium because the Master Yu has made a decision. After the millennium he will leave the star field and go to those wider star fields. After all, although he still only incorporates the 5 rules, he is still the master of the first rank, but if he can pass the test of the foot of the Tianfeng mountain, his combat power must have reached the extreme of the master of the second rank. The combat power in this star domain has long been invincible, not counting sword and warriors. Now that it is invincible, and the Red Cloud realm has been opened not long ago, it will take hundreds of millions of years to open the next time, and he will naturally not wait any longer. Although there are still a lot of opportunities in the 3 major battlefields, he did not intend to continue. He will travel to more vast places to meet more powerful people. This is not just him. In this star field, as long as it has the second-level combat power, it will choose to leave after there is nothing to worry about in this star field. Jian Wushuang entered the darkened realm, and this news really caused a great shock in this starry realm. No one had thought that it was just the master level of the rules, the blood sword master who possessed incredible talent and potential, and at this time he would go to the darkened demon lands. Indeed, in the eyes of many people, Jian Wushuang's name is worked to death. After all, even in the darkened domain, even the top master broke into it. It was a life of 9 deaths. Although Jian Wushuang possessed the power of the top master, he was only a rule master. A ruler broke into it, and most of the strongest in the star field thought that Jian Wushuang could come out alive. Therefore, this star field is already circulating. Jian Wushuang, the brightest genius in history, is about to fall. The dark red forest was so cold that even the air was filled with a cold chill. Jian Wushuang walked alone in the void above this dark red forest. According to the information collected by Xianxian, there are 2 known dangers in this dim demon realm. The first type is the mist that diffuses into every corner of the dim demon realm. Sword warrior surrounds the surrounding void, and this void is filled with a lot of pale red mist visible to the naked eye. These light red mists are just like the black mist in the area covered by the black mist outside the dim demon realm. The black mist contains poisonous substances which can easily kill the ruler of the rule. Even the primary master, although it can barely resist the erosion of the mist, has to choose to leave the cultivation for a long time. Chapter 3808. Like the master of Wuyin, he was so long in the black mist that he was about to leave. And the black mist is completely incomparable with this red mist in the darkened demon realm. It is also a highly toxic mist. The red mist in the dim magic domain, even the thinnest light red mist, has an erosion effect that is dozens of times that of the external black mist. Such a highly toxic, ordinary primary master can't carry it at all, and even the higher master must have a strong body protection treasure to be able to operate normally in the darkened realm. Moreover, this is only a light red mist. In this dim demon realm there are deep red mists and pure mists. These 2 kinds of mists are not regularly scattered in the dim demon domain, and some are hidden in the light red mist. For example, it looks like there is a pale red mist in front of the naked eye, but when you pass through it you may encounter deep red or even mist on the way. The crimson mist and mist were more terrifying than the light red mist. In particular, the mist, according to the information collected by the mysterious Shinto people, said that the mist, even if the top master is caught in it, the power will be completely eroded and evaporated without taking a few breaths. Once there was a top master who was lucky enough to walk out of the dim demon realm and accidentally fell into a mist. Within 3 breaths, his divine power was eroded by 70%. Fortunately, the mist range was not too big, he escaped in time, otherwise the top master would certainly not survive. If I speak of the divine body alone, I've cultivated the highest priority of the supreme immortal mystic body. The divine body is comparable to the elementary arcana. These deities are far more arrogant than the top-level masters. The armor body has more divine power than the vastness of the master. The pale red mist alone will not affect me at all, but if it falls into the crimson mist range I must be careful. As for the mist, even the top masters can't support a few breaths. I may take longer than the average top masters, but in the end it must be irresistible. Jian Wushuang muttered softly. Jian Wushuang knows the danger of this dim demon realm, and naturally dare not be arrogant. He would naturally be extra careful about the mist of one of the 2 major dangers known in this dim demon realm. As for the second known danger of the darkened realm, there are some dark red monsters scattered in the darkened realm. The dark red monster was spoken by the top master who came out of the dim demon realm. No one knows the name of the dark red monster. However, the dark red monster is extremely scary and extremely hateful to outsiders. Once in the dark domain, once the dark red monster is encountered and found by the other party, the dark red monster will directly attack the crazy monster. Oath to be killed. The three top masters who came out of the dim demon realm at the beginning, two of them have left information about the dim demon realm, and all mentioned that the dark red monsters, the weakest, have high masters, even close to the top dominant combat power and slightly stronger, that is the top dominating level. In addition, the most important thing is that the dark red monsters in the dim demon domain are not just one head and two heads, but many. No one knows the specific number, but one of the top masters who came out alive said that he encountered 8 dark red monsters at one time. 6 of them were of average strength, but 2 were extremely powerful. Horrible, all have top protection and combat power. 8 dark red monsters shot at the same time. This top master only has the role of escaping. Dark red monsters live in this dim demon domain all year round. Although their strength is extremely terrible, their wisdom seems very low. Devil Flames, you have been so far in the universe for so many years, you know what this dark red monster is? Jian Wushuang asked Road. Master, the universe is too huge, it is too vast, and there are hundreds of millions of different kinds of life in various ethnic groups. Although I have spent a long time in the universe, I also went to the universe to deepen it. I have seen it everywhere, but the various life groups in the universe, what I know and can recognize, I am afraid that it is less than 10%, and the dark red monster with low wisdom mentioned by the owner is not really. I've seen it, I can't recognize it. Perhaps I won't recognize it until I actually see a dark red monster, Moyan said. Jian Wushuang nodded slightly, not surprised. The universe is huge and there are definitely many kinds of life groups. It is quite normal that the magic flame has never seen such a dark red monster and cannot directly recognize it. The information gathered by Mysterious God mentions the 2 known crises in the dim demon realm, but we know too little about the dim demon realm in this star domain. There may be other dangers in this dim realm, it's just that I don't know yet, but the 2 kinds of dangers now known are enough for me to treat them with dignity. Jian Wushuang squinted his eyes slightly. I am wandering in this dim demon realm, I really have to be careful, and be careful after all, there is only one life. If I lose my life here, the world is too early, my parents, my family and friends are all done. And Schwanger, her soul is still asleep and I haven't really reunited with her yet. I can't just die like that. Taking a deep breath, Jian Wushuang began to investigate the surrounding environment carefully. The power of his soul has already swept out. However, the limits of his soul's power in this dim demon domain are extremely great. Like in the Red Cloud realm, the power of the soul is also limited, but no matter how he can find out the range of 100,000 miles around. But now in this dim demon domain, what he can detect is only a few thousand miles away. Yes, just thousands of miles. For an ordinary master, thousands of miles are instantly crossed. There is only such a narrow range of soul perception, which also limits his movements in the dim demon realm. Although I have the strongest terrestrial magic triple magic light mirror, one of the triple magic light mirrors has a powerful impact on the realm, which can instantly cover the realm of the surrounding area within 1,000,000 miles, while covering the power of the soul on a heavy magic light, then you can detect movements within 1,000,000 miles. But after all, I just arrived in the dim magic domain and am very new to everything here. If I rushed to use the triple magic light mirror, and the area hit 1,000,000 miles away, that movement would be too great. Who knows what will cause it? Sword Musa groaned. Emperor Jiuqian, click in and give a good comment. The higher the score, the faster the update. It is said that a beautiful wife was found at the end of the new score. Chapter 3809. The triple magic light mirror is too dynamic, and Jian Wushuang will not easily cast it. Therefore he can only rely on the soul perception range of thousands of miles, carefully rushing in this dim demon realm. After half an hour. Okay. Suddenly Jian stopped in the void, his gaze was looking at a direction from the periphery, and he could feel that, beyond 3,000 miles in this direction, that extremely violent and fierce atmosphere. Dark red monster, have you finally found one? The soul power of Jian Wushuang has completely locked the fierce breath, and at the same time he can see the true appearance of the dark red monster. Standing nearly 3 meters tall, his body is dark red, but his body is relatively thin. This dark red monster also has 2 eyes on its face, 1 nose and 1 mouth, but all twisted together. It looks extremely embarrassing. The arm is extremely long, just like a sword, but it also faintly exudes a dark red cold luster, which is obviously very sharp. Both hands are like swords? Jian Wushuang frowned. he had discovered the existence of the dark red monster, but the latter did not seem to find him. Magic Flame, can you deny that this monster is here? Jian Wushuang asked. I don't recognize it. Moyan shook his head. This monster gives me a very strange feeling. I'm sure I have never seen such a monster. But if you can't recognize it from the outside, you can only fight with it and see what is special about this monster and what means it has. Jian Wushuang go. Master, are you going to fight this monster? Demon Flame was surprised. Of course, the two major dangers known in this dim demon realm are the surrounding red fog and this dark red monster. As long as I am careful with the red fog, it can't pose any threat to me, but this dark red monster is different. After a pause, Jian Wushuang continued, in the dark domain there are a lot of dark red monsters. I just happened to meet one, but I really took the opportunity to double up with this dark red monster. The bottom of it is so that in the next time I am roaming in the dark and demon realm. Even if I encounter more dark red monsters at one time, at least I can have a bottom in my heart. Instead of knowing nothing, I do indeed know if I should flee or war. Mo Yen nodded. Indeed, just a dark red monster does not pose any threat to Jian Wushuang. However, playing with this dark red monster, I have a general understanding of this monster. It is a good opportunity. Magic Flame, you'll have to take a closer look later and try to identify the monster. Jian Wushuang go. I try my best. Demon Flame Zheng focused his head. With no movement of the sword was swept away towards the position of the dark red monster. 3,000 miles away at the speed of Jian Wushuang in a blink of an eye, but Jian Wushuang did not step forward immediately but slowly approached. This dark red monster has very low intelligence. It is not only unable to perform soul exploration like a human cultivator, but also seems to be weak in perception. Before I was 3,000 miles away it was understandable. But I'm only 200 miles away from it, and it hasn't discovered my existence yet? Jian Wushuang was surprised. He didn't use any mysterious means to hide his breath or body shape, he just approached the other side normally. If you were a human cultivator, you would have already noticed that even some strange beasts and fierce beasts, who are slightly more sensitive, can already sense the coming of the crisis. But now this dark red monster stared at Jian Wushuang has not changed his reaction at all. Obviously, it hasn't found the arrival of the sword unparalleled. Jian Wushuang continued to approach. 180 miles, 150 miles, until the sword Wushuang was only 100 miles away from this dark red monster. Roar! With a growl, the dark red monster finally had a gap, its body stood up, and the cold dark golden eye pupil looked directly in the direction where Jian Wushuang was. Not until now? Jian Wushuang grinned, but the speed was skyrocketing. I saw a weird streamer passing through the void in an instant, and the Bailey range directly crossed. The sword Wushuang already appeared in front of the dark red monster, and at the same time the Huangquan Excalibur appeared in his hands. The elephant. Jian Wushuang slashed out with an arrogant sword, this sword light with endless violent breath, cut through the void and made those light red mists around the chaos. The speed of Jian Wushuang is too fast. Although the dark red monster found the existence of Jian Wushuang, it still has to be slow to respond. Seeing the outrageous sword light cut, the dark red monster raised its two arms at the same time. These two sword-like arms crossed together and stood in front of him. Clang! With a crisp sound, the dark red monster's body sank fiercely, and then the whole person was split and flew out, eventually hitting a huge rock, shattering the huge rock, and its body stopped. Jian Wushuang frowned slightly. My sword, although I didn't do my best, I can now have a very high understanding of the origin of Kendo. This sword's power has definitely reached the top dominating level, but it can be split here. Dark red monster's arm, but can only leave a white mark on the monster's arm? The monster's two arms are so hard? Sword Wushuang is the sword skill of Huangquan Excalibur. The strongest magic weapon is cast, and the power of performing swordsmanship is the top dominating level. If this level of swordsmanship is replaced by a human practitioner, even if it is a higher master with a peak to the treasure armor, it is estimated that had to be hit hard. But this dark red monster does not have any arcana warframe. It relies solely on its two arms to resist that sword power as much as possible, and the two arms are not sword the light cuts off directly, but just leaves a white mark. This kind of arm, I am afraid that the hardness is higher than the ordinary elementary universe treasure. It is estimated that it can be comparable to the advanced universe treasure. I became the most important of the supreme immortal mystery, and the body is comparable to the elementary universe treasure. The two arms of this dark red monster are even stronger than my body. Jian Wushuang marveled. But I do indeed know, it only two arms are as hard as the high cosmic treasure, or is it that the entire body is so overbearing? Swords flickered in the eyes of Jianghu. Although the dark red monster was split and flew out, it looked extremely embarrassed, but it was actually not damaged in any way. After it stood firmly in shape, the dark golden eye pupil was locked on Jian Wushuang's body. The horrible fierce breath suddenly rose up. Chapter 38:10. Outside, outside, those, dead. Intermittent roars emanated from the dark red monster's mouth. Although the sound was not very clear, Jian Wushuang still heard it clearly. This dark red monster, can you speak? Jian Wushuang frowned. The main reason why he took the initiative to find this dark red monster is to want to know more about this dark red monster. As he has now learned, this dark red monster has extremely rigid 2 arms, which is comparable to the high cosmic treasure. In addition, this dark red monster will also speak simply. Boom. The dark red monster turned into a red streamer and burst into force. Jian Wushuang only felt a strong sigh of oppression coming towards him. This suffocation is really strong. Jian Wushuang sighed softly. The dark red monster stretched out with 2 arms just like the 2 sharp swords. With the 2 arms of the dark red monster thrown away, the air was immediately cut away, and the 2 cold-blooded knives of the forest were already cut off. These 2 knife lights, not only the mighty power is extremely arrogant, but also contains a strong meaning of destruction. Even the knife light itself is quite mysterious. Blade. This dark red monster is obviously very low in intelligence, but it also uses a sword, and this sword is quite subtle? Jian Wushuang was shocked. However, although the sword method of the dark red monster is still subtle, it is nothing at all before the sword has no double sides. The sword has a flicker of the figure and a flash, and it is easily worn through the gap between the 2 sword lights. However, his figure has approached the dark red monster. I saw Jian Wushuang sending Huang Quan's Excalibur in front of him. There was a flower bud in full bloom, and the chest of the dark red monster exploded directly, and a bowl-sized blood hole appeared. The white bones in the body can be clearly seen along the blood hole. Fortunately, the monster's 2 arms are very hard, but the rest of the body has not reached that level. Jian Wushuang said lightly. He just had this sword and did not enhance it to power, which is equivalent to the sword that had been split on the arm of the dark red monster before. But the previous sword just left a white mark on the arm of the dark red monster. But now the sword stabbed on the chest of the dark red monster, but it broke the defense of the body of the dark red monster and hurt it. Obviously, this dark red monster is not as hard as the whole universe with the arm as high as the universe. The sword is unparalleled, and other parts of the body of this dark red monster are barely comparable to the elementary universe. But this monster's strength is indeed very strong, and it is very close to the top dominator. In addition, its knife method is still not intolerable. The combat power is indeed very strong among the high masters, and it may be a single head and 2 ends nothing, but if there are 6 or 7 heads together, it can indeed pose a threat to the average top master. Jian Wushuang secretly said. Jian Wushuang has been studying this dark red monster. But the dark red monster had already been angry, especially Jian Wushuang's sword just opened its chest, which made his anger soar to the extreme. The dark red monster has very low wisdom. It does not know how to distinguish the strength of its opponents, or even the jungle rule of weak meat and strong food. Born in this dim demon realm, the dark red monster only knows one thing. As long as it is an outsider, then it must be killed regardless of what it is. Kill, kill. With a low roar, the dark red monster rushed again. Jian Wushuang also shot to entangle with him, but he has found that the blood hole in the chest of this dark red monster has been completely repaired without any trace left. The strength of this dark red monster is still at its peak. Is it immortal? No, this monster doesn't have any divine power at all. It just uses the suffocating power of the body. It is completely different from the practitioners who dominate the level. According to the truth, it should not have an immortal body, but its injury just now is indeed thorough. It's restored. Jian Wushuang only shot very casually and completely suppressed this dark red monster, but he did not directly kill the killer, but deliberately retained his strength and tangled with this dark red monster. He wanted to know more about this dark red monster. Dozens of breaths passed quickly. This monster is really stupid. Its strength is obviously inferior to me. No matter how crazy it is, it will still be easily crushed by me. From the beginning to the present, it doesn't have the slightest desire to escape. Obviously, I still want to kill me crazy. Jian Wushuang shook his head with a smile, but his heart was groaning. I know all about this monster's power, speed, and means, and now the only thing I don't understand is the body composition, and it's not clear whether it really has an immortal body, so there is no need to entangle it again. There was a sharp flash in Jianhu's eyes. Wow. I saw a phantom flashing, and at the same time a dazzling sword was lit. The entire skull of the dark red monster had flew away, and then Jian Wushuang blew a sigh of relief, and a sword-on smashed the skull directly. Are you dead? Jian Wushuang stared at the body of the dark red monster in front of him. Obviously the head has been lost, but the body of this dark red monster still moves freely, and its two arms are still madly swinging towards the sword. Not dead? The sword has no double-sided color, and after avoiding the light of the dark red monster, he saw that the dark red monster's flying head had grown back. Jian Wushuang shot again. First smashed the dark red monster's head, then another sword hole penetrates the dark golden monster's heart, and finally exerts a huge divine attack to smash the entire body of the dark red monster. As a result, this dark red monster is still beautiful and dead, already alive and well and full of combat power. What happened? Jian Wushuang frowned. This monster is extremely hard. Although my attack can hurt it, it is difficult to annihilate it directly on a large scale. It is obviously not immortal. Why can its injury be repaired in an instant, and even the broken head and heart can be recovered immediately? He obviously has the power to absolutely crush this dark red monster, but now he can't completely kill the latter. No, there must be a weakness in this dark red monster, but I haven't found it yet. Jianhu's eyes narrowed slightly. And the magic flame staying inside the blood-colored gourd has been watching the outside world like Jian Wushuang has been watching the dark red monster. After seeing the dark red monster's head and heart crush repaired instantly, the magic flame immediately thought of a group. Chapter 38:11. Abdomen Master attack his abdomen. The flame of demon flame sounded in Jian Wushuang's heart. Belly? Jian Wushuang looked. Yes, it's best to be able to pierce it directly with a sword. Moyan said. Jian Wushuang did not hesitate, and his strange shape flickered, easily walking around the dark red monster, and then a hazy sword shadow lit up. Obviously there is only one sword shadow, but at first glance, the sword shadow looks like numerous dense lines, which makes people unable to distinguish. The dark red monster tentatively waved its two sword-like arms to resist, but it only blocked a small part of the thin line. The most important thing was that it did not block the sword shadow of the sword unparalleled hidden in those thin lines. I saw the dim shadow of the sword, with a sharp, directly stabbed in the belly of the dark red monster. The terrible power penetrated the dark red monster's abdomen on the spot. Snap. A crisp, shattered glass sounded, and the dark red monster still carried monstrous anger and madness, but its voice had dissipated, and the two sword-like arms dropped. Died. Jian Wushuang looked at the body of this dark red monster stupidly. The dark red monster's head was chopped off and smashed, and the monster's heart was also smashed directly, but the monster was not dead, but was repaired immediately. But now he penetrated the dark red monster's abdomen with a sword, but it died? Obviously, the weakness of this dark red monster is in the abdomen. Sure enough, it really is. Mo Yan's voice sounded with excitement. Magic flame, do you recognize it? Jian Wushuang asked. Yes, if I'm not mistaken, this dark red monster should be an extremely rare ghost in the vast universe. Demon Flame said. Scarlet Wraith. Jian Wushuang frowned. The ghost is a group, but it is completely different from most of the ethnic groups in the universe. Moyan said, most of the ethnic groups in the universe were originally bred by the universe by themselves, and after a long period of reproduction, a growing ethnic group. But the ghost is different. This group is not born of the universe but is born of the life of another group. Another ethnic group conceived? What does it mean? Jian Wushuang wondered. Master, in fact, this ghost is from an extremely terrible group in the universe, the Undead Ghost Group. Moyan said, the Undead Ghost Group is definitely the top group among the many groups in the vast universe. This group is extremely powerful. If you just talk about talent, it is stronger than the special life gods you mentioned to the host before. What? Jian Wushuang was startled. Stronger than Wu God? Wushan, that is a very special life, is the darling of the rules of the heavens and the earth. Even if you do not cultivate, as long as you slowly grow to reach the peak, it is the ultimate level of mastering the 9 rules. This special life has been make Jian Wushuang feel incredible. But this group of undead ghosts, but on the talent, is even stronger than Wu Wushan? Wushan, although it's good, but it grows to its peak and it is the ultimate level to dominate, but the undead wraith to the peak can reach the supreme level, and purely on the number, the undead wraith family is better than Wu Wu. There are many, and most importantly, the undead ghosts can be called undead for a reason. The first reason is that any undead ghost has a terrifying vitality, and his life-saving ability is the crown of the universe. There is such a saying in the universe that the undead ghost at the peak of the world, no one can be enemies. The reason that no one can be said is not that no one is better than theirs, but because their life-saving ability is so strong that no one can die. Of course, this sentence is actually an exaggeration. The undead ghosts at the peak, although most Supremes are helpless, even the top-level Supremes cannot be killed, but there are countless powerful people in the vast universe. At the top, the invincible cosmic hegemon in the Supreme can still kill the undead ghost. The sword is unparalleled. Undead Wraith, maybe its life-saving ability is terrible, it is the crown of the universe, but it is not really invincible to the world. After all, even the master of the Red Cloud Realm, the ancestor of the Red Cloud Realm who has reached the top level can be killed. Even the Ling Yun star created by Ling Yun Supreme and other Supreme invincible level universe overlords will fall. Think about the vastness of the universe with terrible. Immortal Wraith has strong life-saving ability, but it is not really invincible. Besides that, there is a second reason. The magic flame continued. The number of undead ghosts in the universe has always been only 99. This is eternal even for some reasons. A dead undead is dead, and the universe immediately breeds a new undead demon, that is, the undead demon will never be extinct. As long as the cycle of the universe is still there, the immortal demon will always exist. And it has always been only 99, never exceeding, nor less than 99. Jianghu heard it and was shocked inside. He finally understood how terrible this group was, and why this group was called immortal. It really is undead. Not only is life-saving ability against the sky, the most important thing is the special status of this group in the universe. Even if one is killed, the universe will immediately give birth to one. Such a group is indeed eternal, and no one in the universe can destroy this group. Of course, the universe is fair. Although the immortal ghosts are tyrannical and immortal, this group also has some disadvantages. Moyen continued, first of all, their growth period is too long. It is known that an undead ghost must go through hundreds of chaotic periods from birth to the peak. Hundreds of chaos times? Jianghu stunned. A tertiary astral world, from incubation to destruction, is a period of chaos. Hundreds of chaos times? How many years? This is a bit too long. All undead ghosts, are they? Can't it reach its peak in advance? Jianghu asked. No, even if you are amazingly talented and domineering, but to reach the supremacy, you must wait until the peak period, and to reach the peak period you must spend hundreds of years of chaos. But the hundreds of chaos periods are too long. Many undead ghosts can't survive that day. They were killed during the growth period. Only a very small number of undead ghosts can survive the peak period. Become supreme, truly can run rampant in the universe, even the top supreme can't help it. 3 Heads M. Dear, click in and give a good comment. The higher the score, the faster the update. It is said that a beautiful wife was found at the end of the new score. Chapter 38:12. In addition to the long growth period, the undead ghost has another disadvantage. When Moyen said this, the word suddenly turned again. In fact, this cannot be said to be a disadvantage, but an advantage. How to say? Jianghu surprised. This is the case. The undead ghost is unique in the universe. It is a group that many practitioners are amazed at. In the vast universe, less than 10 can be called the peak group. Any one group is huge on the basis of the number of people. The only group of undead ghosts has only a fixed number of 99, but it is still the peak. This group is totally favored by the universe. Because of this, they are basically treasures all over their bodies. Moyen said. The whole body is treasure? Jianghu stunned. Yes, the whole body is a treasure. The magic flame smiled. The bodies, blood, and even hair of the undead ghosts, as long as everything in them has high value in the universe, they will take the undead ghosts. For the gods, even a dead undead corpse that has fallen for many years, as long as it is kept intact, it is comparable to all the supremes. Of course, the most precious thing about the undead ghosts is the source of their vitality, that is, their life core. That is the treasure that is enough to attract the madness of the vast universe. Life core. Jianghu looked. Can cause countless supremes to go crazy. The value of this life core can be imagined. It is precisely because the undead ghosts are treasures all over the world, and their bodies and life cores are too precious. Therefore, as long as the practitioners in the universe see the undead ghosts, they will try to kill them. It is their shortcomings, said Mo Yin. Hearing this, Jianghu smiled dumbly. The whole body is treasure, but it becomes a disadvantage. In fact, the husband is not guilty and guilty of guilt. The undead ghost is full of treasure, let alone the master, even the supreme will be crazy about it, which naturally leads to the undead ghost in the universe's living environment is not very seconds. This group would be long gone without the death of an undead ghost. Devil Flame, you have been talking about the undead ghost, but what is the direct relationship between the undead ghost and the ghost in front of me? Jian Wushuang asked. The relationship between the two has grown. Mo Yen laughed. Master, I just said that the undead ghosts have a terrible vitality. Let me not talk about how they were when they were alive. Even if they had, you are dead, and even after you die, the blood they leave will evolve into new life. This is the origin of the ghost in front of you. What did you say? Jian Wushuang was startled. You mean the dark red monster that I am beheading is actually the blood of an undead ghost? Yes. Demon Flame nodded. If I'm not mistaken, there should have been an undead ghost who once fell here, and its blood has spawned a large number of ghosts. It is only in this dim demon domain. There will be so many dark red monsters. Is that so? Jian Wushuang knew and followed him again. I had fought with this dark red monster before, and it's okay to smash its skull and heart. This vitality is really terrible. It is indeed the blood of the undead ghost. It came, but after I pierced its abdomen, it died? Of course, the core of the undead ghosts is their life nucleus. As long as the life nucleus is not broken, no matter how serious the injury is, these ghosts are transformed by the blood of the undead ghosts, and they have also inherited them. Some of the characteristics of the undead ghosts are also the core of their life, which is in their abdomen. Just now, the owner's sword penetrated this ghost's abdomen, crushing the life core of his abdomen, and he died naturally. Moyen said. So it is. Jian Wushuang fully understood. No wonder just heard a sound of broken glass when breaking through the belly of this dark red monster. The sound should come from the broken heart. Master, there is an undead ghost here, and the blood of this undead ghost can spawn a bleeding-colored ghost. This undead ghost is likely to reach its peak, that is, the highest level. It is also the ultimate dominating level. If such a dead undead corpse stays here, it is definitely a huge treasure, and if you can get it, then you will be sent. The body of the undead ghost? Jian Wushuang's eyes also brightened. He just heard the demon Flame said, the body of the undead ghost is comparable to all the ordinary supreme net worth. And the undead ghost is a treasure all over. Even if it is ordinary hair, it is bound to be priceless for him who is just the master of the rule. Of course, the most important thing is the life nucleus. Demon Flame, if you really have undead ghosts in this dim demon realm, will there be any left of this undead ghost's life core? Jian Wushuang asked. A complete life nucleus is definitely impossible. If this immortal ghost core is complete, it will not die, but since he is dead, it is obvious that the life nucleus has been broken. However, although you can't get a complete life nucleus, you may have a chance to get some life nucleus fragments. Shards? Jian Wushuang frowned. Just fragments? Even if it is only a small piece of debris, as long as it can be retained, it also contains great opportunities. If you can get a small piece of the master with this fragment, you may directly understand a piece of the law of the universe. Magic Flame Road. What? Jian Wushuang jumped inside. As long as you get a small piece of life and nuclear fragments, it is possible to directly understand a trace of the law of the universe? The law of the universe, this time he came to the dark and demon realm and ventured, didn't he fall into the bottleneck because of his strength, and couldn't find a way to understand the law of the universe? And this life nuclear fragment can help him understand the laws of the universe? Opportunity. A once-in-lifetime opportunity. Master, don't be too happy too soon. The sound of the magic flame sounded again. The nucleus of the undead ghost can really help you understand the laws of the universe, but I can see that this battlefield has existed for a long time. In such a long time, the cosmic power contained in the undead wraith's life nuclear debris will gradually pass away. As long as the cosmic power has completely passed away, the life nuclear debris will collapse and dissipate. I don't know if there are any life debris left here for so long. Emperor Jiuqian dear, click in and give a good comment. The higher the score, the faster the update. It is said that a beautiful wife was found at the end of the new score. Chapter 38:13. Jian Wushuang frowned. The fate of the nuclear fate is extremely precious, and it is definitely a rare opportunity for him. However, if no frag nuclear flake has been left in this dim demon domain, he will cry without tears. I hope that there are life nuclear fragments in this dim demon domain. Don't need too much. 2 or 3 pieces should be enough. Jian Wushuang secretly said. In the darkened realm, Jian Wushuang continued to glide forward. His speed is still very slow, and the power of his soul has always covered the range of thousands of miles around. Although it is only a few thousand miles, it is still enough for him to discover the locations of those dark red monsters in advance, and those dark red monsters are transformed by the blood of the undead ghost. The wisdom is extremely low, and they do not know the soul detection at all. As long as the sword when Wushuang did not approach them within 100 miles, they could not find the existence of Jian Wushuang. Because of this, Jian Wushuang can easily avoid these dark red monsters on the way. In a flash, 3 days passed. Although 3 days have passed because Jian Wushuang's speed has been very slow, he has not traveled too far in these 3 days. 3 days of continuous deepening. Should I reach the depths of this dim demon realm now? Jian Wushuang secretly thought. Of course, he doesn't know how big this dim demodulation is, and no one knows this astronomical domain, so he can't be sure whether he has reached the depths of the dim demodulation. He is only based on his own guess. After all, with him deeper, he has seen more and more dark red monsters along the way. And these monsters are no longer there alone, but at least several of them are gathered together. There are even more than a dozen heads, dozens of heads coming together. These dark red monsters, with a single sword and 2 swords without a pair of swords, are not at all in mind, but if there are dozens or dozens of them, even if he has some headaches. Fortunately, he deliberately avoided these dark red monsters along the way. At this time. Well, are there monsters again? Jian Wushuang's soul power has sensed the existence of a full range of ferocious breath. The 8 breaths are truly 8 dark red monsters, and one of the 8 dark red monsters is significantly larger than the other 7 heads, and the fierce breath emitted from the body is also more horizontal. It's so strong, it's much stronger than the ordinary dark red monsters. No surprise, this should be the kind of monster that can compete with the top dominating power? Jian Wushuang looked. In the information he obtained before, he mentioned that there are 2 types of dark red monsters. One is the most common and most common. It can be comparable to a high-level master, and barely approaches the top master. And strong, that is the top dominates combat power. Apparently, the monster with a larger volume that he saw now belongs to a relatively strong dark red monster. Only those monsters with average strength have a large number. I may have a headache, and this monster that is comparable to the top masters, it is better not to provoke it easily. Jian Wushuang smiled lightly and planned to pass around. Suddenly, not good. The sword's 2-sided color changed in vain. He had sensed that when he was about to get around the 8-headed monster, the darkest red monster with the largest volume and the strongest among the 8-headed monster raised his head suddenly, an amazing fierceness. The sigh of breath suddenly rose up. Roar. A scream of horror echoed fiercely in this world, this scream with endless killing intent, straight into the sky. Intruder, die, die. Kill, kill him. After the roar rang, a less clear hissing sound followed. The 8 dark red monsters within the swordsman's soul perception, led by the strongest dark red monster, have burst out at an extremely fast speed and rushed directly towards themselves. Discovered? Jian Wushuang looked a little ugly. It was his own care. When he saw the dark red monster with a larger volume, he knew that this monster was more powerful and comparable to the top master. He also thought that this monster might be slightly stronger than ordinary monsters, but stronger. Not too many. Therefore, when he was detouring, the distance was slightly closer, and it was estimated that it was about 1,000 miles away. But the stronger dark red monster, across 1,000 miles, realized his existence. So there is now this scene. 8 heads of dark red monsters are comparable to top masters, and 7 heads are close to top masters. Although this lineup alone cannot threaten me, since these monsters have discovered my existence, I will flee here unless they erupt, or he will always follow me, and other monsters will be notified along the way to kill me. But once I broke out too fast, it would produce a lot of movement and then it would attract other monsters. The sword had no double-faced capacity. If it is on the periphery of the dim demonic domain, this dark red monster is not common, and it is found that he directly flees and flees. But now I am afraid that it is close to the depths of the dim demonic field. There are many dark red monsters here and the branches are dense. In this case he erupts too quickly, passing under the eyelids of these monsters. I am afraid there will be more monsters. There is no way but to fight them and to kill them at the fastest speed. There was a hint of killing in Jian Wu's eyes. This is the best solution. Perhaps during the battle, the might will attract the monsters around him, but as long as he is fast enough, he can leave first. Kill. With a low drink, Huang Quan's divine sword appeared in the hands of Jian Wushuang, and a pair of huge black wings spread out behind him. Shuangguang Phantom Body Act directly deployed. Sword Wushuang is like a fish in the water and easily travels through the void. The 8 dark red monsters were already killing them at the fastest speed, but before they could kill Jian Wushuang was the first to meet them. The dim shadow of the sword lights up. This sword shadow is dreamlike and intoxicating, like a huge sword net, covering the 8 dark red monsters in front of it at the same time. Too fast and weird. Except for the 8 strongest dark red monsters, the other 7 heads couldn't even see how Jian Wushuang came out with the sword. Waf, 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 waf. The sound of the 7 swords rushing into the body sounded. The 7 dark red monsters with the same strength were also extremely insane. In front of Jian Wushuang's swordsmanship, they looked like paper. The body of the 7-headed monster started from the abdomen was cut in half directly. Emperor Jiuqian dear, click in and give a good comment. Chapter 38:14. The abdomen was cut open and the body was cut into 2 parts. The most important thing was that the life nucleus of the 7 monsters were all broken. With a broken life core, no matter how strong the 7-headed monster is, it can only be killed immediately. As for the monster with the strongest strength, which can be comparable to the top-dominated monster, he waved his arm to resist the sword of the sword unparalleled, but his shape was also directly sunk. The sword has no twin body shape, and Shuangguang Phantom's close-up moves directly follow, appearing like a ghost on the side of the last monster. The long sword in his hand is directly stabbed, and there is a horrible spiral of strength, and the space seems to be strangled by the sword light. That monster's figure was in the sinking stage, and it was too late to resist the sword Wushuang. The monster's belly exploded, flesh flew, and the life nucleus hidden in the abdomen was strangled by terrible power, and it also collapsed at this moment. Instantly, this dark red monster comparable to the top master also died on the spot. In terms of strength, these monsters are indeed very strong, especially the large one which can withstand the sword I just had. It is definitely the top dominating combat power. Unfortunately, although there is no combat power in the air, there is no immortality. As long as I know the weaknesses, it is really easy to kill them with my strength. Jian Wushuang smiled indifferently. In an instant, he killed 7 heads close to the top master, and a dark red monster comparable to the top master. Sword Wushuang was very calm in his heart, not proud. After all, these monsters are only transformed by the blood of undead ghosts, with low wisdom, empty combat power, but no immortality, which is far worse than human cultivation. With Jian Wushuang's current strength, it is easy to defeat a top master. But to really kill a top master such as killing Tianping master, it is very difficult. First of all, Tianping's lord has an immortal body. To kill him he must annihilate his entire body of power. Second, Tianping's lord himself has body protection secrets, and there is also a treasure armor. All these means combined, even if the sword is unrivaled, at best, it can only cause some damage to the Tianping master, and it will take a long time to kill it. This also has to ensure that Tianping do not flee. However, even if this dark red monster has the top dominating combat power, it does not even have an undead body, nor does it cultivate any secret skills, nor has the treasure protection. It is purely relying on its own body. Yes, his body is hard, nor can I ignore the sword attack of Jian Wushuang, not to mention the magic sword used by Jian Wushuang, or the strongest Huangquan magic sword. I really want to kill 10 dark red monsters. It is much easier than killing a human top master. Jian Wushuang sighed, followed by a wave of the 8 dark red monsters. The corpses were all included in the Chengkuan ring. The bodies of these monsters are so hard, especially their 2 arms, which are comparable to the high cosmic treasure, and their corpses naturally have some special uses. After doing all this, Jian Wushuang left immediately. And just like he thought, he burst into great power when he started, and the roar of the monsters before him really attracted the arrival of many monsters in the surrounding area. Unfortunately, Sword Wushuang's hands were too fast. The 8-headed monster was beheaded instantly. So when other monsters rushed here, Jian Wushuang had already left, and those monsters also emptied. However, with this encounter, Jian Wushuang rushed into this darkened realm and became more cautious, especially for those monsters that are larger and more powerful and comparable to the top masters. After all, that kind of monster can detect his existence thousands of miles away. And now that he is in the dim demonic realm, the range covered by the power of the soul is only thousands of miles. In the perception range, the advantage is not as great as before. In particular, the deeper and deeper the monster that Jian Wushuang calls it elite for the time being, the more and more difficult it becomes. 10 days passed quickly. Jian Wushuang's current position is getting closer and closer to the depths of this dim demonic realm. Here, Jian Wushuang found that he could now say that every step he took had to be cautious and cautious. No way, it's really that the monsters around them are too dense. There are monsters gathered every few thousand miles, and they are gathered by dozens of dozens, among which there are elite-level monsters exist. He is rushing here. As long as he makes a few noises and is noticed by those monsters, I am afraid that there will be a lot of monsters slaying around him in an instant. I finally understand why so many top masters broke into this dim demon realm before, but there were only 3 who really went out alive. Jianghu Shuang couldn't help sighing. He can imagine what happened to the top masters. When the top masters first entered the darkened realm, they would not encounter any danger, so they would continue to break through, and the 8 Chengdus broke into the depths. Gradually, the top masters will deal with this dark red monster. With the ability of soul perception, the top masters can calmly deal with those dark red monsters at the beginning. After all, they can be easily avoided, but as they continue to go deeper, there are more and more dark red monsters, and their actions also it's getting harder. At this time, if these top masters choose to leave in this way, they can survive, but these top masters come to the dim magic domain to get the chance and leave without any chance. Most top masters will certainly not choose this way. So they will continue to drive until they reach the depths of this dim demon realm, such as Jianghu Shuang's current position. When it comes to this, Jianghu Shuang has rushed to the point of difficulty, and those top masters who are just general level are even more difficult to act. Slightly accidentally found by those monsters, there will be a large number of monsters besieged to kill them, cannot escape. The 3 masters who went out alive from the darkened realm at first were either powerful enough to survive and leave in such an environment, or they didn't really come to this depth at all. They didn't meet me now. Danger. Jianghu Shuang muttered. Dangerous, yes, he is indeed very dangerous now. After all, there are all kinds of dark red monsters around him. In the thousands of miles of his consciousness, there are 3 such monster teams. Each team has dozens of monsters. 100 heads. Dear, click in and give a good comment. The higher the score, the faster the update. It is said that a beautiful wife was found at the end of the new score. Chapter 38:15. When you come to the depths of this dim demon realm, you must not cause any slight movement. With a little movement, there will be a lot of monsters besieged. Those ordinary top masters will not escape if they escape. With a slight smile, as for my words, fortunately, there is a magic flame that you told me. After confronting the 8-headed monster before, Jianghu Shuang knew that he had to go deep into the darkened demon realm. In addition to the arrogant strength and life-saving means, the concealment means was also very important. After all, you can only hide well so that those monsters can't find you, then you are naturally safe. Therefore, in the period of deep into the depths, they have been looking for hidden secret cultivation. He has been in this star field for so long, even the master has beheaded and killed, and he has obtained a variety of resources including some unique secrets. Like the mystery of concealing the body shape, he has it, but the level is not high, and it can only be regarded as a general level in this star field. This general level of mystery is hard to hide from those monsters at the elite level. Fortunately, Jianwu has a magic flame in his hands. This magic flame was the master of the ultimate level during his lifetime. Not only was he overpowered, but he also spent time in school in the vast universe. His knowledge was extraordinary. The mystery of the hidden body shape naturally understands this magic flame. Under the request of Jianghu Shuang, the magic flame taught Jianghu Shuang a secret mystery. The level of this mystery is not too high in the vast universe, but it is much stronger than those hidden mysteries in the star field. And this mystery is relatively easy to practice. Just in a few days, Jianghu Shuang has mastered it. After mastering this hidden secret operation, Jianghu Shuang immediately tried it and found out that with this secret technique, even those monsters at the elite level can no longer sense his arrival in advance. It went into the depths of this dimly demon domain relatively smoothly, and so far there has not been much noise. I can sense the existence of those monsters around me, but those monsters can't find me. Even though there are many monsters around me, I can still deal with them calmly. Jianghu Shuang chuckled. He was wandering alone in the depths of this dim demon realm. After a long time. Ha! Jianghu Shuang's expression suddenly moved, and a look of shock appeared on his face. Monster, many monsters. Jianghu Shuang can sense thousands of miles directly in front of him, and there are a large number of dark red monsters gathered. A fierce and arrogant breath came into the sky. Jianghu Shuang consciously swiped past, and already saw hundreds of such monsters, and this was because his soul power covered the area just near there. As he slowly approached that area, those sensed the more monsters there are. Too much, too much. Here there must be thousands of monsters. Jianghu Shuang looked surprised. Along the way there were many monsters he encountered, but the most were only dozens of monsters gathered, but now there are thousands of monsters gathered in front of him. Among the thousands of monsters, most of them are ordinary monsters, but there are still dozens of elite monsters. So many monsters gather, is there anything special about that area? Jian Wushuang raised his eyebrows, and even though he was performing the hidden technique, he approached the area carefully. Before long he appeared in the void around the thousands of monsters. And here, even without the power of the soul, with the naked eye sword unmatched, you can see a large number of dark red monsters gathered on the ground in front, and in the center of this land, there is a stone with an extremely strange shape. On the blood-colored stone, there were still a few white light spots floating quietly. Those white light spots are extremely dazzling, and the breath emitted is also extremely unique. That's... Jian Wushuang's eyes were completely locked on those white light spots. Life shard, yes, that's life shard. The demon flame in the scarlet gourd was also excited. Master, you're really lucky, this dim demon realm is left by the undead ghost shard, and not only one but several and more. Jian Wushuang's eyes also flashed a thick surprise. The white light spots suspended above the bloodstone, the dazzling white light seemed to contain a special magic power, which could not help his mind quiet. And the densely crowded monsters staying around the bloodstone looked at these white light spots with enthusiasm. Obviously those white light spots were of great significance to them. Not only one piece of life nuclear fragment. Jian Wushuang clenched his hands tightly. There are as many as 4 pieces floating on the bloodstone in front of his eyes, and this is the only area in the dim magic domain in this area. Elsewhere, I am afraid there are other life nuclear fragments. However, although this nuclear fragment is in front of me, it is not as easy as I want to get it. Swordless eyes narrowed slightly. The bloodstone is at the very center of many monsters. He wants to step on the bloodstone and take away all the life core fragments. He must pass through these monsters. Even if he gets the life core fragments, he still has to. It's not difficult to escape these crazy monsters. Moreover, Jian Wushuang also found that the life core fragments on the bloodstone are not all suspended together, but scattered in different positions of the bloodstone. Even if he rushes on the bloodstone for the first time, if he wants to collect the life core fragments, only it can be collected one by one, and it is not possible to collect all 4 life nuclear fragments at one time. Until novel. It is a bit troublesome. Jian Wushuang frowned. He didn't choose to do it the first time but thought about it. He was wondering how he could get life nuclear fragments from the siege of these monsters, and it was better to get all 4 life nuclear fragments at one time. Master, these ghosts are all transformed by the blood of the undead ghost, and the wisdom is very low. The life core fragments left by that undead ghost should be similar to the relics. Existence is precisely because of this, they will pay great attention to it. The main thing is that if you take a shot, it will definitely cause these ghosts to be mad. Demon Flame said. I know this, I'm thinking now, how can I easily get the life nuclear fragments or how to reduce the risks by doing it? Jian Wushuang go. Reducing risk? It's almost impossible. Mo Yin shook his head. Dear, click in and give a good comment. The higher the score, the faster the update. It is said that a beautiful wife was found at the end of the new score. Chapter 38:16. I can see that the reason why these ghosts are gathered here is to protect the life nuclear fragments. This is their mission. The Master, if you want to get the life nuclear fragments, you can only forcefully break through them. This way in the past. Missouri Yen Road said. Can you only break through? Jian Wushuang frowned. If you go straight, the risks are not small. You know, there are thousands of monsters gathered in front of you. There are dozens of elites, which is equivalent to dozens of top masters. It is definitely not easy to grab the 4 life core fragments from under the eyes of this many monsters and escape. Anyway, you have to try it. Jian Wushuang decided. Immediately, he approached the bloodstone cautiously. The occult technique taught to him by the demon flames is really good. He has now come to the periphery of the monsters, but none of them found the sword unmatched. Jian Wushuang is still slowly approaching. His idea is clear. First, of course, he must get as close as possible before the monsters do not find him, so that when he takes the shot, he can reach the bloodstone as fast as possible, so he only come closer. It's very close. Sword Wushuang is very close to where the monsters are gathered, and they are less than a mile away. Suddenly, among the thousands of monsters, dozens of elite monsters with the strongest strength all raised their heads at the same time, apparently already aware of it. Rush. Jian Wushuang didn't hesitate. The moment he saw the dozens of elite monsters looking up, he immediately burst out his fastest speed. I saw a pair of huge black wings spreading out behind him, and the mysterious phantom body burst out to the extreme. The breath on his body soared into the sky, and the whole person was directly inserted into the monster group like a sharp sword. At the same time there was a big noise. A lot of dark and cold light swept wildly. These dark and cold rays of light are a lot of magic light. Triple magic light mirror, field suppression. In the Shuangguang realm that combines Shuangguang and Tianyi, this terrifying area covers thousands of miles around, suppressing thousands of monsters in this area. Roar! 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 The roar of trembling sounds one after another. These roars carried an unprecedented madness and anger. Thousands of monsters in this area have been awakened. I saw countless violent breaths, and almost locked Jian Wushuang at the same time, followed by a large number of dark red monsters attacked wildly. However, Jian Wushuang's speed is too fast. He originally tried to get as close as possible, shot immediately after being found, and shot out the fastest speed, plus the triple magic light mirror combined with the field suppression effect of the Shuangguang realm on those monsters, making those monsters have a high speed. The amplitude is weakened. So that when these monsters reacted and rushed to fight, Jian Wushuang had broken into the monster group, and was very close to the bloodstone. Life shards are just ahead. Jian Wu's eyes flashed with unprecedented firmness. He could feel the mighty intent in all directions. The monsters that came to him from the rear and from both sides are now ignored by him, but are directly in front of them, and there are many monsters blocking them. No way, this is after all the monster group. Although he rushed in for the first time, there must be a monster in the front to block it. However, for these barriers, for Jian Wushuang, the frontal defeat is enough. Kill. Huang Quan's divine sword appeared in the hands of Jian Wushuang. At this moment, Jian Wushuang didn't dare to hide anything. He almost burst out of his strongest power almost immediately. I saw a sound of dragon chanting, and the 30% of the dragon's power with the endless dragon armor had also blessed him. Intruder, die. Those monsters blocking in front of Jian Wushuang all waved their two arms, and those two arms like swords slashed down, and in a short time there was a lot of dense light, like a long river rushing towards Jian Wushuang. Jian Wushuang burst out of the Shuangguang phantom method to the extreme, and saw a strange stream of phantom flashes, and his figure easily passed through the gap between these knife lights, and then the dazzling sword light lit up. Get away. A growl and a huge sword came down like a 9-day waterfall. Jian Guang is cold and carrying terrifying power, covering almost more than a dozen monsters at the same time. These monsters all gathered their arms to resist, but as a result, more than 10 figures were actually split out at the same time, including 2 monsters that reached the elite level. Jian Wushuang's body was not obstructed in any way, it was a rush, and at the same time the cold sword light was on. An elite-level monster still had scarlet eyes and kept the look of madness and anger, but its body had been chopped into 2 sections by Jian Guang, and his life core was broken on the spot. Elite-level monsters, comparable to the top masters of the practitioners, can be cut and killed in an instant when the sword unparalleled explodes. Speaking slowly, in fact, from the sword Wushuang suddenly broke into the monster group, and then the brutal offensive repels dozens of monsters in front, and the elite monster is beheaded. In this short moment, the monsters that came from the back of Jian Wushuang and the 2 sides have not yet had time to approach him. But Jian Wushuang has defeated all the obstacles in front of him, and his figure has already stepped on the bloodstone. As soon as he stepped on the bloodstone, Jian Wushuang's eyes immediately locked the piece of life nuclear fragment closest to him. With a wave of his hand without hesitation, Jian Wushuang directly received this piece of life nuclear shard in Qianyan's ring. The first nucleus fragment is at hand. Jian Wushuang was pleasantly surprised, but when he looked up to collect the second nucleus fragment, his face suddenly changed. Not good. Jian Wushuang looked at him in front of him. There were already hundreds of monsters standing there, and from both sides and behind him, there were a lot of monsters attacking him crazy. And he was very close. In this situation he has no time to collect the second life nuclear fragment. Escape. Jian Wushuang made an instant decision and immediately turned around to escape from this place. But rushing in is easy, but trying to escape the monster group is extremely difficult. After all, in any direction around him, there are no fewer than 100 monsters blocking it. Jian Wushuang instantly locked the direction in which he broke in, and a chill filled the sky instantly. Emperor Jiuqian dear, click in and give a good comment. The higher the score, the faster the update. It is said that a beautiful wife was found at the end of the new score. Chapter 38:17. Hundreds of monsters? Jian Wu's eyes were cold. So what, the one who blocks me? A sharp howling sound emanated from Jian Wushuang's mouth, and his eyes glowed with dazzling light. Endless divine power swept wildly. At this moment, in addition to the 2 cards of Demon Flame and Dragon Extermination, he has already shown his strongest combat power. Buzzing. A strange voice suddenly sounded. It's as if Xiao's voice is simple and low. A gorgeous sword shadow diffused out. The sword shadow was hazy, but turned into a cloud of mist. There are hundreds of monsters in front of the sword without double sides, and most of them are covered by this mist. These low wisdom only know that the monsters desperate to kill the sword unparalleled, did not notice the extraordinariness of this mist. But just a moment the dazzling light shone in the mist. Heaven and earth seem to have an extra sun out of nothing, but this sun is extremely cold. Ha! The sound like a wheat cut rang in succession, and a monster was ruthlessly cut off by the dazzling light, and the life core of the abdomen was also broken. Just this moment, the hundreds of monsters blocking the front of the swordless double face, the half covered by the fog, including 6 monsters that have reached the elite level, silently, their bodies all fell down. With just one sword, more than 60 ordinary monsters, plus 6 elite monsters all died. The power of this sword is truly amazing. Cultivation for thousands of years in the second day of the Red Cloud Realm has completely brought my understanding of Kendo to a whole new level. My perception of the origin of the Kendo universe is even comparable to the master of the 3rd series. During these 10,000 years, I created the strongest sword skill Hazy. Under the explosion of my strongest power, even if Yu who has reached the 2nd level has been faced, I am afraid it will have to be severely damaged, and these are not even immortal. And extremely stupid monsters. Under my sword, it is impossible to survive. Jianghu's eyes were cold, and he was not surprised by the results of the sword he had just created. Red Cloud Realm practiced for the 2nd time in the heavens. His promotion in Kendo and swordplay was too great. The strongest sword art created is obscurity. The underlying Kendo universe is extremely deep. It's really easy to kill these lowly intelligent monsters. However, while Jin Wuxuang used the strongest sword skill Hazy to slay these monsters in front of them, those monsters who came from all directions to surround them had never been idle, but shot one by one despite a certain distance. However, there are still a lot of swords and swords. The sword lights that came from all directions attacked each and every knife light was extremely sharp, and the power was extremely excellent. The point is that these knives cover too wide a range and they can be found in all directions. Guard the earth, come out. Jian Wuxuang directly casts his strongest body sword skill. Buzzing. A large number of swords, meanwhile with a large amount of earthy yellow energy, it instantly rises, forming a heavy earthy yellow earth sword area. Almost in a blink of an eye, Jian Wuxuang gathered the 32 major sword areas in front of him. It should be noted that when Jian Wuxuang ran on the peak of the Tianfeng Peak in the Red Cloud Realm and faced the siege of the Snow White Ape Man, the Three-Eyed Demon Woman and the Stone Man, the earth sword area he cast was only 13. The 13th, body protection ability is also extremely tyrannical. Generally the top master can't break. But now, 10,000 years later, he casts the guardianship of the earth, and the instantaneous condensed earth sword area is full of 32. From 13 to 32? The improvement in the middle is really too big. And the protection of the earth is stronger than stronger. On the power of body protection, the 32-layer earth-guarded sword area is definitely 10 times stronger than the previous 13-layer earth sword domain. 32 major sword areas covered the entire body of the sword, and those sword lights attacked from all directions hit the earth like raindrops. But after a round of attacks, the 32 major sword areas were only defeated by 16, and they were just half defeated. So weak. Jian Wuxuang couldn't help but be surprised, but he soon understood. Although there are a lot of monsters attacking him around, and there are many sword lights that hit the Earth Guardian sword at this moment, first of all, these sword lights are displayed by those monsters from a long distance. The power will naturally weaken during the grazing. Secondly, these monsters are scattered to attack each other. Their attacks are all single and not concentrated, so the impact on the Earth Guardian sword domain is not too great. This level of attack does not threaten Jian Wuxuang at all. Hurry up. Jian Wuxuang did not want to stay longer. In front of him, more than 70 monsters were beheaded in one fell swoop. A gap had appeared in the monster group in front of him, and his speed burst immediately to the extreme. With the Shuangguang Phantom method, it was almost instantaneous from this gap. Rushed out. Come out. Jian Wuxuang's eyes brightened, but it was too late to be surprised, and he found that the crowd of monsters behind him had killed him like a wasp. Along the way these monsters also screamed one after another. These screams were so loud that they were clearly calling on their companions. It looks like I'm staring at me completely and swearing to kill me. Jian Wuxuang frowned, but he was also mentally prepared. He knew very well that if he started, he would surely be besieged by these monsters. And not only the thousands of monsters guarding the shards of life nuclear debris, but also a large number of monsters scattered in the depths of this dim demonic realm, will hear the news. What he has to do now is to escape in the hands of these monsters. There are too many monsters, and when I heard the call for help, it is estimated that a large number of monsters gathered in the dim demonic realm will rush towards me. In a short time, I don't know how many monsters will gather here. Jianwu's eyes narrowed slightly. I don't care so much. Anyway, there is such a big movement, and I don't care if it gets bigger. The magic power of Jianwu Shuang rolled over, that was originally combined with the mysterious realm, but it only diffused the magic light field in the surrounding area of thousands of miles. Under the control of Jianwu Shuang, the power suddenly increased, and the coverage range was also at a terrible speed. Expand. Thousands of miles from the beginning, in the blink of an eye, actually directly permeated millions of miles. Suddenly, the deep void of the entire dim demon realm was covered by dark magic light, and completely fell into the magic light realm. And a lot of dark red monsters in this million-mile range were naturally shocked. Chapter 38:18. So many monsters? Jianwu Shuang, while energetically evoking the field of magic light, also covered the power of his soul over those streams of light, which can clearly sense the scene in this range of millions of miles. But at this point he completely choked. He hadn't exposed the magic light field before, but only used his own soul to investigate, and he could only sense a range of thousands of miles at a time. Thousands of miles and millions of miles, the gap is too big. And there are too many monsters within a million miles. There are countless violent breaths, at least tens of thousands. Breaking intruder. Kill him. Roar. Roar. And many monsters within a million miles have been awakened by the magic light field of Sword Unparalleled. I saw a large number of monsters, with dozens of heads gathered together, and hundreds more heads gathered together. From all aspects they came violently. Jianwu Shuang is already in the center of these monsters. If so many monsters come together, even if I am 10 times stronger, I won't be able to stop them. Jianwu Shuang's eyes widened. The lowest strength can be comparable to the monster dominated by the higher, tens of thousands? Sweeping this star field is no longer a problem. Jianwu Shuang's strength is strong, but in the face of so many monsters, there is no room for competition. Escape, I have to escape the sight of these monsters. At least I can't let these monsters surround me or I will really die. The sword has no double-faced dignity. With the help of the magic light field, he can easily sense the position of many monsters within a million miles, and then he is the first to burst out his fastest speed. In terms of speed, with the help of Shuangguang Yantiani, his speed is a lot faster than that of the top master. These monsters in the dim magic domain are not good at speed, even if they are elite-level monsters. It is also far behind him in speed. He fled at the fastest speed the first time, at least the thousands of monsters chased and killed behind him could not catch up. What he has to do now is to find a way to avoid those monsters who are siege. 3,000 miles away in the front direction, there are about 40 monsters, elite level with 2 ends, and quickly avoid. There are more than 300 monsters in this direction. Hurry up. You can't go here, bypass first. Jianwu Shuang relies on being able to sense the position of those monsters, constantly changing the direction and position within a range of hundreds of miles, and avoiding a team of monsters coming from the siege. But after a moment of effort, Jianwu Shuang's brow frowned again. No, I can't go on like this anymore. The sword was cold on both sides. Although I can sense their position in advance and avoid these monsters as much as possible, the magic light field I cast is too dazzling. Although these monsters are stupid, they can still sense the existence of this field. Since they have a field, they know that I am still in this area, and then they desperately come towards the center of the field without retreating. In this way, when the surrounding encirclement slowly shrinks, I want to avoid it. Can't be avoided. In the magic light field, although he can sense the positions of those monsters in advance so as to avoid those monsters. But the same magic light realm also made him a light in this dim magic realm, and also exposed his position. Those monsters can know that he is still in this area according to the realm, and it must be in the realm. At the very center he will continue to siege him. Maybe at 1:30 he can still entangle with these monsters, but after a long time, there are more and more monsters gathered around him, and the circle is getting closer and tighter, then he can't avoid it. To this day, the only way to get rid of the immediate dilemma is to find an area with no monsters or fewer monsters within the million-mile range covered by the magic light field, and get there as quickly as possible. And then converge the field and hide the figure. Jianwu Shuang secretly said. He said it was easy, but in fact he knew for himself that there were monsters in the area within a million miles or no monsters. Although there were several places, The monsters in that area played because the monsters originally gathered there were crazy came over to where they were. In other words, if you want to go to that place, you have to break through the obstacles of a lot of monsters in front of them. Those monsters, Jian Wushuang carefully calculated, almost cannot be avoided. Within 1,000,000 miles that I can sense now, there are 4 areas where I can hide my body. I have to encounter a lot of monsters in any of these 4 areas. I can't avoid it. But by comparison there are fewer monsters encountered along the road. Jian Wu's eyes looked like electricity. He relied on the magic light field to master everything within 1,000,000-mile radius, and naturally knew the number of monsters in those areas. There are a lot of monsters in all possible areas, 3 of them are densely packed. At least swords have to break through the obstacles of 5 to 6, and the number of monsters encountered by each one is quite large. In the last area the number of monsters should be a lot less, but he has to get there. Even if he tries to avoid as much as possible, at least he will encounter obstacles from triple monsters. Jian Wushuang studied it carefully. The 3 monsters fortunately only had about 100 heads and less than 10 heads at the elite level, but they could not bring him too much trouble. After all, once his hazy sword came out, it could completely crush the hundreds of monsters. For the 3rd monster, although the number of gathered monsters is more important than the first, there are about 300 heads, but there are not many elites. Jian Wushuang also has the confidence to break through the obstacle of this heavy monster. On the contrary, it is the 2nd monster obstacle in the middle, and now it has gathered more than 700 monsters, of which the elite level is no less than 40. The obstacle of this heavy monster is more difficult than the 1st and 3rd. Much more. However, although it is difficult, it is too much compared with other areas. There are even thousands of monsters gathered in other areas. I have no choice but to break. Jian Wushuang clenched his hands tightly, his eyes flashed sharply, and the wings behind him suddenly stretched out, rushing towards the area blocked by the triple monster group. Along the way he naturally avoided other monsters as much as possible, but the triple monster obstruction was inevitable. Soon Jian Wushuang encountered the obstacle of the 1st monster. Emperor Zhuqiandir, click in and give a good comment. The higher the score, the faster the update. It is said that a beautiful wife was found at the end of the new score. Chapter 38:19. The first obstacle is the least monster among the 3 obstacles and the easiest to break through. Looking at the hundreds of monsters swarming directly in front of him, the sword flickered in his eyes. Kill it. Intruder it. Roar. The hundreds of monsters were crazy and violent. They didn't know how to cooperate. The hundreds of monsters swarmed over their swords. Buzzing. The mist was rushing around, spreading rapidly. With the suppression effect of the magic light field, the hundreds of monsters covered most of them instantly. Immediately, the dazzling yet chilling light suddenly lit. The strongest swordplay. Almost instantly, half of the hundreds of monsters were cut directly by the dazzling Jianghuang, and a large number of monster corpses fell down. This first monster obstruction, it collapsed in an instant. Although a small number of monsters rushed up, Jian Wushuang could solve it very easily. However, between the light and fire, Jian Wushuang has already broken through this heavy monster obstacle. However, Jian Wushuang did not have the slightest joy. After all, among the 3 obstacles the first one is the easiest. Of course, it is easy for him to break through. But the 2nd monster obstacle that will be encountered next is his problem. This 2nd hindrance has now gathered almost 800 monsters. Even the elite comparable to the top dominator, there are about 50. So many monsters, I want to kill all of them is impossible. Speed broke through in the fastest time. Jian Wushuang licked his lips. In terms of strength, he is much stronger than these monsters. In terms of speed, these monsters are far from being comparable to him. Therefore, even if he faces a monster like 800 heads, he still has the possibility to break through. Soon, Jian Wushuang met the 800 obstacle monster with the 2nd obstacle. 800 heads of monsters gathered together and covered the sky like a tide-like sword. As soon as they saw Jian Wushuang, those monsters had already shot, and across the distance a large number of sword lights greeted Jian Wushuang. The sword Wushuang has no fear at all. The guardian swordsmanship of the earth is in full play. There are 32 major sword areas which can easily resist these swords. This is where these monsters are inferior to human cultivators. If Jian Wushuang is not facing these stupid monsters, but human beings dominate the sword, so many masters, Jian Wushuang would never dare to break through them. Because human beings dominate, even if they are unfamiliar with each other, they have similar strengths, and can still carry out some simple cooperation. Even if there is no blessing from the magic array, it is a simple superposition of powers. Over 800 masters of superpowers can be superimposed. That power can be estimated to reach the level of the third level of domination. Even if the sword has the earth to protect this body, swordplay can't stop the power of the third level. But these monsters are far worse than human domination. They don't know how to cooperate at all. They don't even the simplest superposition of powers. They only attack stupidly. Although the number of this attack is large, the powers are not superimposed, and they can't constitute too much swordsman. Threat. Jian Wushuang carried the attacks of these monsters and broke into the monster group directly. Later, by the suppression of the realm, the speed of Jian Wushuang and the strange dark light phantom, all burst out. I saw a strange shape flickering recklessly among the monsters, easily passing through a famous monster, and even if he encountered a sword blocking the road, he shot directly and easily killed the opponent. And those monsters, it is almost difficult to capture the shadow of Jian Wushuang, let alone their speed cannot keep up, and they cannot blindly make indiscriminate attacks. After all, there are also around the location of Jian Wushuang plenty of their companions. This led to Jian Wushuang in the monster circle and was hardly blocked. Just for a moment, Jian Wushuang rushed straight through this encirclement. It's a lot easier than I thought. Jian Wushuang smiled indifferently at the large number of monsters who were still crazy to chase after him. Triple obstacles. This second obstacle is the most difficult. Jian Wushuang thought that he would need to spend more hands and feet before he could break through. However, he didn't expect to break through. It was so easy. Although the number of these monsters is very large, they basically did not put much pressure on him. Stupid. Not only stupid, but even none of these monsters has a conductor. Jian Wushuang smiled. These 800 monsters are totally fighting for themselves, and they act according to their consciousness. If one of them had a stronger command, even if it was only the most basic command, he would not break through so easily. The second obstacle is so easy to come through. As for the final third obstacle, it is even easier. Jian Wushuang smiled slightly. It didn't take long for him to encounter the third obstacle. There were only 300 monsters standing in front of him this time, and he easily broke through. Since then, the 3 obstacles in front of him completely broke through, and the road ahead of him was unimpeded, and Jian Wushuang also easily came to the area he had previously selected, and then the field immediately converged and his breath was immediately hidden. Stand up. Without the realm, Jian Wushuang can no longer sense monsters within 1,000,000 miles of the area, but these same monsters have completely lost their sights. Next, a large number of monsters are still hunting around the area where Jian Wushuang is located, but Jian Wushuang has already found a place to hide. These monsters have no basic soul perception ability, just like blind people. Of course they can't find it. To sword unparalleled. Behind a boulder, Jian Wushuang hid here. And at this moment he was sitting cross-legged with him, and in front of him, hovering the shard of life glowing nuclei. This life nuclear fragment. Curious feeling. Jian Wushuang just stared at the shard of life in front of him. Although he had obtained the nuclear fragment from that boulder before, he was fleeing all the way and had no time to investigate. Until now he was able to observe the nuclear debris up close. This life nuclear fragment, when you take a closer look, is actually just a small white piece of elite, but it is within this white piece that it exudes an extremely unique atmosphere. And Jian Wushuang has sensed the extremely rich cosmic law contained in this small white block for the first time. Obviously, he told the flame that this nuclear fragment of life could indeed help him to understand the laws of the universe. Dear, click in and give a good comment. The higher the score, the faster the update. It is said that a beautiful wife was found at the end of the new score. Chapter 38:20? Magic Flame. What should I do now? Jian Wushuang asked. Master, you should be able to sense the special power contained in this life nuclear fragment. Moyan said. Well? Jian Wushuang nodded. This power contains very strong laws of the universe. Of course, that's the cosmic power, and it is also a symbol of the unique power of the undead ghost. As long as the immortal ghost grows to its peak, he can reach the supremacy, because his core of life contains cosmic power. Depending on the power of the universe, he can easily understand the laws of the universe. Devil Flame smiled. But the undead ghost has long died, and the life core has been broken. Now the life core fragment you get should contain very little cosmic power, but it still has great usefulness for you, Master. You can directly choose to absorb the cosmic power of this life nuclear fragment. Direct absorption? Jian Wushuang stunned and said, That's the power of the universe. A ruler in our area is going to absorb the power of the universe? Isn't he looking for death? Although the Master is assured the cosmic power really has incredible power. Even the supreme level strong can't bear this kind of cosmic power. Perhaps those cosmic hegemons who are already invincible in the supremacy are eligible. Think about the power of the universe, and of course you can't withstand the power of the universe, but you won't be able to bear it, too. Magic Flame said. What do you mean? Jian Wushuang frowned. In fact, it's very simple. The universe cycles and has its own laws. It's impossible for the universe to master such incredible powers as cosmic power. So the master, you absorb the cosmic power in this nucleus. The result is cosmic power. Although it can be absorbed, it will immediately dissipate in your body. However, the process of dissipating cosmic power is completed in your body. Although most of the cosmic laws contained in it will also gradually dissipate, you can grasp so much in the process of passing. The law of the universe, have you ever understood the master? Mo Yen laughed. Jian Wushuang raised his brow, and he already understood the meaning of the magic flame. Yes, the cosmic power, the supreme power of the vast universe, is more sublime than the laws of the universe, and even the supreme strong cannot be involved. But what he wants to grasp is not the cosmic power, but the trace of the cosmic laws contained in the cosmic power. It's like an ordinary person who wants him to face up against an invincible army. It must be heaven and earth. But if he was just asked to deal with a very ordinary soldier in the army, he would have a great chance. That's the truth. Yes, what I want to comprehend is just a trace of the law of the universe. As for the power of the universe, it has nothing to do with me. Jian Wushuang smiled and let go. Master, try it first, Moyen said. Jian Wushuang nodded. He couldn't completely trust the flames. Although the magic flame said that it would not encounter any danger in absorbing this cosmic power, Jian Wushuang also felt some reason and was willing to try, but he was careful in the process of this attempt. As long as there was a slight error, will stop immediately. But obviously Jian Wushuang was thinking too much. His process of absorbing the power of the universe was smooth and did not encounter any danger. And after the cosmic power entered his body, just like the magic flame said, it began to dissipate immediately, and the dissipating process did not cause him any harm. This made Jian Wushuang slowly let go of his caution, and then he began to enlighten carefully. The universe is vast. The cosmic power of the universe is supreme, even the laws of the universe are far from comparable. The undead ghost is also because of its uniqueness, it will have so many cosmic powers in its core. Jian Wushuang now only gets a small piece of life nuclear debris, and the cosmic power contained is only a trace. There are many laws of the universe. In the process of cosmic power dissipating and passing away, a large number of cosmic laws contained in cosmic power are also gradually dissipating. In this process, Jian Wushuang is extremely clear in feeling. This moment was the closest he had to the laws of the universe. Although the level has the coming of the law of the universe, that coming is only on his body, and the coming of the law of the universe, he just can sense the power of the law of the universe. But this time, the laws of the universe dissipated from his body, that is, dissipated, but actually it was disintegrated and transformed into something else. This process so close to him helped him too much. The law of the universe, is this the law of the universe? At this moment, Jian Wushuang directly saw the essence of the law of the universe and knew how the law of the universe was shaped. His understanding and knowledge of the laws of the universe are also getting higher and higher, and he is getting closer to understanding. Coming soon, you can understand immediately. With a hint of ecstasy in his heart, Jian Wushuang can feel his great progress in the laws of the universe. Suddenly, the shard of life nucleus, which was originally dazzling with light, shook slightly, the light dimmed immediately, and the smash broke completely. The cosmic power absorbed by the sword is also interrupted immediately. Without the power of the universe, there would be no dissipation of the laws of the universe. Jian Wushuang calmed down completely. Do not. Jian Wushuang opened his eyes fiercely and let out a growl, and his eyes were deeply unwilling. Jian Wushuang is extremely unwilling. He clearly felt that he could immediately comprehend the laws of the universe, and he could even say that half of his feet had entered the threshold of the laws of the universe. But as a result, at this most critical time, the cosmic power of the life nucleus fragments was exhausted. His comprehension stopped immediately. He got stuck there, infinitely close to understanding the laws of the universe, but in the end he was still a little behind. Right, it's just a tiny bit, a very small distance. But without the decomposition and passing of the cosmic power, this trace is also a ditch of heaven and earth. How can this happen? Obviously I will soon be enlightened. Obviously there is only a slight difference. Jian Wushuang clenched his hands, roaring and screaming wildly, and his heart was furious. God seems to be joking with him. Obviously he will soon understand the laws of the universe. Once he understands that it is a natural step to the sky, not only the surge in strength but also completely passed the test of the second sky of the Red Cloud Realm, and he can also master Tianbei. However, at the last moment it suddenly stopped. Chapter 38:21. Life nuclear fragments have completely shattered and dim, and this time the chance is indeed over. But Jian Wushuang's understanding of the cosmic circle is still a little bit worse. Maybe Jian Wushuang can take some time to understand this, but it is also possible that he will still be stuck on this step. What to do? Do you want me to a piece of life nuclear fragment? Jian Wushuang whispered. He robbed a piece of life and nuclear this time. Although the process was not too dangerous, it was quite difficult. This time he succeeded because the monsters didn't have much defense. After this time he can be sure that the monsters will protect the nuclear debris much better than before, plus what he got before was the most recent and easiest life nuclear fragment on the Bloodstone, but the other 3 life nuclear fragments were not so easy to obtain. In this case, Jian Wushuang went to snatch. The risk is much greater than before. However, in this situation he wants to understand a trace of the universe's laws as soon as possible, and only has the way to win the life nuclear fragments. Fight, even if the risk is great, I must fight too. What's more, this time I came to the Dark Demon Realm. This was for adventure, in order to find the feeling of life and death, and now there is such a great opportunity in front of me. How can I step back? The second block of life fragments, I must find ways to get them. Jian Wushuang clenched his hands tightly, and his heart was determined. However, although it was decided, Jian Wushuang did not act immediately. He just got the first life nuclear fragment and caused a huge movement in this dim demon domain, and alarmed a lot of monsters. Now that the darkened realm has not completely calmed down, the countless monsters are still frantically searching for his tracks, and at this time he is naturally unsuitable to continue adventure. You have to wait a little longer, and when this dim demon field gradually subsides, the monsters don't search for his position crazy before he can leave. Behind the boulder, Jian Wushuang hides his own breath and is cautiously lurking. During this period there were also many monsters passing by around him, but none of them were found. This lurking lurked for a whole year. 1 year later, Jian Wushuang's soul perception found that there were almost no monster groups searching around within thousands of miles. Obviously, the previous storm was already quiet. The dim demon realm also restored the former calm. Jian Wushuang, who had been lurking for a full year, set off again. The previous escape has made Jian Wushuang far away from the bloodstone that has the life nuclear fragment. However, when Sword Wushuang had escaped before, he always remembered his escape route, so he could find the bloodstone. However, when he fled, he blasted his fastest speed all the way, and it took a short time to reach this area. But now he has to be careful, avoiding the monsters around him. The speed is much slower. It took him a few days to return to the surrounding area of the bloodstone. Came back here, but when Jian Wushuang saw the scene in front of him, Jian Wushuang froze. I saw in his soul perception that the 3 life nucleus fragments remaining on the bloodstone were indeed intactly suspended above the bloodstone, but there was an endless amount of darkness around the bloodstone. There are more red monsters in number than these dark red monsters. When Jian Wushuang came to the life nuclear fragments 1 year ago, there were only 1,000 monsters around the bloodstone. But now the dark red monsters around this bloodstone add up. I am afraid that there must be 6,000 or 7,000 heads. In terms of quality, the elite level monsters have gathered more than 200 heads. The most important thing is that among these 6,000 or 7,000 monsters, Jian Wushuang also felt 2 extremely violent and terrible breath. The 2 monsters. Jian Wushuang immediately locked the 2 monsters. It looks the same as a normal dark red monster, except that the size of these 2 monsters is obviously larger than the other monsters, and the eyes of these 2 monsters are faintly dark red and cold. It's stronger than that elite level monster. The sword has no double-sided color and is ugly. Trouble is big. It is really troublesome. Although he had previously guessed that with the previous robbery these monsters were wary, and the protection of life nuclear debris was definitely more stringent, but Jian Wushuang thought that at most there were more monsters around. However, I didn't expect that there were 6,000 or 7,000 more heads. The most important thing is that there are 2 more terrible monsters inside. Those 2-headed monsters are obviously not comparable to the elite level monsters. The elite level monsters can also compete with the top human beings, and now such stronger monsters are likely to reach the level of second level domination. Jian Wushuang is sensing this. When the 2-headed monster, they also noticed a very dangerous breath from the 2-headed monster. Obviously these 2 monsters can threaten him. If I do and show my whole cards, my normal strength will explode to the extreme. Relying on my understanding of the origin of Kendo, my combat power is also the second level to dominate the level, and even relying on swordsmanship, I should be able to overpower Yu to dominate the first. The primary master of the series, but the two larger monsters in the monster group now, I feel afraid that it is slightly stronger than the master of Yu. There are two monsters like this, and there are 6,000 or 7,000 other monsters around. I want to break in and take that life nuclear fragment. It's too difficult and difficult. Jian Wushuang frowned. Obviously, the difficulty of this robbery is definitely 10 times or even dozens of times higher than that of the first nuclear fragment. I thought that the monsters in this dim demonic field were the strongest kind of monsters, but now it seems that this is not the case. The two larger monsters I see now should be called Jiang-level monster. Jian Wushuang has given the two larger monsters a title. General-level monsters. Fighting power is enough to rival the second-level domination. Fortunately, although these two monsters are more powerful, their perception ability is not much stronger than the elite monsters. I hid in this void and concealed the breath, and these two monsters could not find me. Jian Wushuang eyes slightly hesitantly. No hurry, I'll wait here first to see if the two general monsters will leave here. Dear, click in and give a good comment. The higher the score, the faster the update. It is said that a beautiful wife was found at the end of the news score. Chapter 38:22. Jian Wushuang did not choose to start immediately. He knew very well that when he came to the life nuclear fragments, the two general monsters were not there. Not only wasn't he guarded around that bloodstone, not even in this area. Otherwise, why did he not see such a general monster when he was so active and surrounded by countless monsters? Obviously, these two monsters are from other areas of the dim demon realm, such as deeper. Since they are not in this area, they know that the life nuclear fragments were rushed over and deliberately rushed over. After this area gradually calms down, the two monsters will likely leave and return to their previous places local. If these two general monsters leave, it will be less difficult for the sword unparalleled to that nuclear fragment. So he has to wait first. However, what Jian Wushuang did not expect was that he had waited for 3 years in the surroundings, and neither of the two general monsters had any intention to leave. It's been 3 years and there is no movement at all. It seems that the two general monsters are not planning to leave. The sword has no double-sided color, which is a bit ugly. The dim demon domain is calm on 3 sides, and the two general monsters have no intention to leave, which indicates that the two general monsters are expected to be here in the future. It can also prove that these monsters really attach great importance to life nuclear fragments. Maybe one day those two general monsters will leave, but who knows when they will go. Jian Wushuang can't wait. He didn't plan to wait any longer. No way, I can only fight. Jian Wu's eyes flashed with cold mang, and in his heart he had begun to plan. This robbery was much more difficult than last time. The last time he had confidence in his own strength, so he made a fortune without much thoughtful planning. But this time it was different. After a moment of effort, Jian Wushuang left. Like the last time, Jian Wushuang approached the bloodstone as much as possible at the beginning, but because the monsters around them have strengthened the vigilance, and the existence of the two general monsters, Jian Wushuang didn't get much closer, so he found. Roar. The skyrocketing roar echoed fiercely in the sky. Silent for 4 years, the darkened demon domain shook again. To date, there are 6,000 or 7,000 monsters guarding the bloodstone, and when he hears this roar he immediately responds. Shocking swept up instantly. Intruders. It's him again. Dead, die, kill him. These monsters almost instantly locked Jian Wushuang, and at the same time they saw Jian Wushuang's body shape, which made them even more angry. Although their wisdom is not high, they are very revengeful. 4 years ago the human practitioner suddenly rushed here, snatched one of their holy things, killed many of their companions and left. These monsters were already so angry that they hated this human practitioner. Now this human cultivator has returned, and it seems that his purpose is still the same as before, to their holy things. 2 consecutive shots to snatch, how can they make this human succeed? Countless monsters rose into the sky. This time it was clear that Jian Wushuang's speed was slower. He has not been able to set foot on the bloodstone, but there are already thousands of monsters blocking him in front of him. Among them, the 2 forwards are the most impressive, one of the first-level monsters. The 2 monsters did not stay together but were separated from each other. When Jian Wushuang suddenly shot, both monsters reacted, but one of them was close to Jian Wushuang. Naturally, the first time it was in front, but the other side was on the other side, but it had already started to come. Human practitioners. The dark red pupils blocking the general monster in front of Jian Wushuang exudes a heartbreaking light. Is it you that snatched my holy relic? Are you still daring to a second time? The general monster's wisdom is obviously higher than other monsters, but not too high. Suffering. With a loud scream, this general-level monster and thousands of ordinary and elite monsters behind him slammed into the sword Wushuang like a tide. Not good. The sword has no slight change in color on both sides. He found that the general monster was much faster than the ordinary elite monster. Almost instantly, the general monster appeared in front of him, and its two sword-like arms had already been held high. Wow! Two forest cold sword lights, carrying a terrifying chill, cut off directly across. Space was ruthlessly fought by these two swords. Regarding the exquisite power of the sword light power and even the skill of the sword, this level monster is far better than the elite monster. In the face of these two swords, Jian Wushuang didn't dare to entrust him, and at the first time he was able to wave the Huangquan Excalibur. An equally outrageous Jingguang was cut out and collided with the two swords that came from the cross. Clang! The crisp impact sounded, and the light red mist that had permeated the void was dissipated by the mighty impact. Jian Wu's body shape shook slightly, and the whole person suddenly retreated a few steps away. The general monster, however, just leaned back slightly, followed by another big step and continued to kill the sword unparalleled. So strong. Jian Wu's eyes flashed with horror. Just that sword, he has already exploded his power to the extreme. Combined with swordsmanship, it is enough to easily crush ordinary top masters, and he can collide directly with this general monster, which is obviously at an absolute disadvantage. This head-level monster is purely powerful, at least it has reached the extreme of the second-level elementary master, and the blade method it uses is also very good. This general-level monster is much harder than those elite-level monsters. Hurry up! Jian Wushuang turned around and fled without hesitation after a momentary confrontation with the general monster. Shen Guangyu stretched his wings and the speed of Jian Wushuang broke out. But the interesting thing is that although www.novel Jian Wushuang seems to be fleeing, it doesn't give out his fastest speed instantly. It is to keep the speed to a certain degree, at least to let a large number of monsters in the rear feel that there is a chance to kill themselves. Sure enough, Jian Wushuang fled. These monsters, already crazy, were led directly by Jian Wushuang, led by those two monsters. At the same time, a roar of constant roaring sounded, and they were constantly calling on their surrounding companions. In the course of fleeing, Jian Wushuang turned his head to look at the void in the rear, and found that the 6,000 or 7,000 monsters that had been guarding around the Bloodstone had already chased most of them at this moment, especially the two monsters at the top. Let Jian Wushuang's eyes light up. That you're tuning in to the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.